welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels, live from the YouTubes. I'm Stephen Billings, and with me, as always, is your other host, Andrew Cabral. How you doing, man?
Doing good, Steven. Doing good. It wouldn't be a show without a little bit of technical difficulties right before we have to start.
Well,
It
yeah,
it
yeah.
feels like that always has to happen in some way, shape, or form.
Well, of course.
That's how you know you're making progress when things
Yeah,
go completely awry at the last possible moment.
of
But
course.
yes, this is our official first episode of the calendar season of 2024 episode or spy number 130. 130, and this is
130.
live. Um, and it's a little bit different doing things live, Steven. Of course, you have that lack of control that you get when you pre-record things, but we will make the best of it as we always do.
We will, and the thing is, I mean, the decision to never really do this show live was partly because of its length. Because I just when there's so much so long for me, nobody's going to want to watch this live. But we got changes that are part of the reason why we decided to start doing this. So from now on, the show is going to be live. Part of it's logistical, part of it's like makes it a lot easier for me to record this, then get the audio file, and then easily put it on on the podcast forums, whether it's Apple Podcast or whatever. And the other reason is just we decided to just change up the format a little bit, and I think it's more suitable for YouTube now. And why not? Let's just do it.
I mean, we had talked about it periodically throughout the time we've been doing the podcast over the
Yeah.
29 episodes previously. And it was always something that we always liked that, like I said, that control of pre-recording. If you have to edit, if you have to stop, if one of us needs to go use the restroom in the middle of it, you can put a pin in things and pick
I
up,
just don't,
all that stuff.
It gives you that option. So now that we've been doing it for a while, now it's just like we know how we are every time we record. And honestly, I don't do a lot of editing, so unless it's just an internet issue, usually.
Right. Yeah. Which
so
we've had internet issues with and all kinds of stuff, whether it be because of the weather, whether it be because of certain internet hookups not functioning properly, companies not working properly, all that stuff, which just goes with all of the technical things that we do here. But we did also change up some other things too.
We did, and before I get to that, Josephine, as she always does, she comes in hot. She's talking about first time watches here. One False Move. Ooh, that's a good one. Richard Franklin. One False Move.
Kurosawa's Dreams was a first watch for me, like last year.
Yeah,
it's such a masterpiece of a movie.
Yeah, and she just said, she says hello. Also, we got Humbert Horror Honey saying hello. I probably missed, as everybody knows that listens to the show, I don't know how to read, so I might mispronounce things. But so what Andrew was referring to is, as you'll see in this episode, we'll be testing it out in this episode. One of the big things that we're going to do moving forward with Chasing Labels is change the format. And the funny thing is I think, like a lot of things in life, it can be cyclical. Like you do something, you start out doing something, and then you go on a journey, and then you find your way back to that thing in a way. And as me and Andrew were kind of talking about what that format change would be, it kind of brought us back to honestly the philosophy that we had going into starting this show. And that was that we were going to talk about the things that we were interested in. Now, that's not to say that we're not interested in almost anything, but what this does is it condenses the show. So, if you're used to listening to us in recent times, we essentially try to run down every release that was announced in some shape or form. You might hear us talk about the movies if we watched them, or if we haven't, we'll kind of go through the synopsis maybe or something like that. But instead of kind of doing all that, the plan going forward will be that me and Andrew both kind of see, and if I didn't say this at the top, this will become a bi-weekly show as well. So every other week instead of every week. So in that 2-week period, me and Andrew look at the releases coming out, and we both kind of pick a confined amount of releases to talk about.
Mm.
We're going to try to keep it somewhere in the realm of 10, 12 releases.
It would honestly depend on how many releases are released in
Sure.
that period of time,
Yeah.
which companies do it, how many they release. Sometimes you get a large amount of releases from one company, or you get small amounts. So it would really all depend on how that goes. And I think the criteria, or at least the mindset for Steven and I, when it comes to the titles that we're going to be choosing, will essentially be like, which are the ones that we would most want to add to our own personal collections?
Yeah.
Which ones are the ones that we would be more than not likely to buy rather soon. Steven buys a lot sooner than I do, so I'm always playing catch up. I realized how much I'm playing catch up with a lot of the 2023 releases that we're going to talk about later on in the show. But that is kind of the mindset that I'm going to go to, and it'll show
Yeah.
like kind of our different, perhaps collecting mindsets, because everybody's
Yeah.
kind of different when it comes to how they collect and what they collect and how much they collect. So that's kind of my mindset going into all of this.
Yeah. I think it just really it helps us stay focused on the things that we're really interested in, and like I said, I think, and we've heard this a lot. A lot of our returning listeners that listen to us all the time, they do appreciate the fact that specifically, I mean, Andrew has taken so much time to watch things that are very obscure to get somewhat of an opinion on that thing and help people maybe make a decision on and people really love that. But I do think that for, at least for me, it became something I could not engage with anymore, because my life has changed a lot personally, so I can't engage with that part of it like I used to. So for me to be more engaged in it, and I think what's important is that me and Andrew are engaging with each other, and which is another thing that people like, is our back and forth. So if we're not both talking about things that we like, then there's not going to be as much of that back and forth
Right.
that I think we bring. So
Yeah, and a lot of the reasons why Steve and I have become such, friends in collecting over the years is because we collect a lot of the similar titles.
yeah,
Similar, but just, I guess, coming at them from different perspectives as to why we get them.
of course.
And then we'll probably be going into all of those things. And yeah, it does take a bit of pressure off of myself, even just going into this week, this kind of trial run. I didn't feel as pressured to watch every single Vinegar Syndrome and partner label title that they put out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I kind of could pick and choose which ones looked the most interesting, from which labels and all that kind of stuff, which we'll get into rather quickly, because Vinegar Syndrome and their partner labels are kind of really the only ones that put out much of a slate this first week of the new year.
Yeah. So you'll probably see some of that. We are going to do announcements first, or if you want to call it highlights, our highlights of the announcements first, and then we'll go into, of course, the other big part of our show, which is this week we'll be going over our favorite 2023 releases in the style of Shelf Shock Rewind. And of course, if you don't know anything about Shelf Shock Rewind, and we got Mr. Disconnected here, my partner in crime, with starting that when me and him started that last year for his first year. This year, of course, Celeste de la Cabra is going to be tag teaming with him to get that done this year. I'm kind of doing some background stuff, but they're going to host it this year together. And he's here saying hello, long live Shelf Shock Rewind. So we are going to use kind of the categories of Shelf Shock as a way for us to kind of go through our favorite releases of last year.
Yeah, it's a nice guide, because, like
Yeah.
I said, in looking back at 2023, the year that was for physical media release in just the boutique world,
Yeah.
there was an abundance of releases, like
Oh, yeah.
tons upon tons. It was quite a great year for all of that stuff, as we covered here on the show. So, Stephen, when do you want to start doing these highlights? You want to start now, or
Yeah, well,
are you
I
done
think
bantering?
I'm done bantering. I don't want
Mm,
to. I just want to talk movies.
yes,
Let's do
indeed.
this. So yeah, we'll just go back and forth and kind of talk about. You bring up a release, and I'll bring up a graphic. I think I got some stuff here we can as a visual aid. What's something you want to talk about first?
Well, yes, let's dive into the Vinegar Syndrome
Okay.
oeuvre, if you will, because on January 1st, New Year's Day, they wasted no time
Oh yeah.
in kicking off their subscriber week, where
Yeah.
that is the week in which you can subscribe to their yearly subscription of their releases and all that kind of stuff. But they also have daily deals. They have like title drops every day or most days, and they launched their new label, their new sub label, I should say. It's going to be tough trying to pronounce this, but we'll figure it out.
Cinematograph,
Yes, cinematography, cinematograph.
cinematograph.
This is rough, real rough. But
Yeah.
they did announce 2 titles, but I do want to talk about the first one that they announced straight out of the gate. And this was a movie that I had not seen. And this is Little Darlings from, I believe, 1980. Yes,
Yeah.
1980, starring Tatum O'Neal. Tatum O'Neal, of course, being in The Bad News Bears, as well as, the Peter Bogdanovich film that I'm completely blanking on. I want to say it's not Over the Moon, but I forgot what it's called.
Paper Moon?
Paper Moon. Thank you, Steven.
Yeah.
See, that's why
And you're right on Jeopardy.
right on time, right on time. So the movie Little Darlings is, I think, rather a unique film. First of all, this release is I believe, I was going to say it's a multi-disc release, but it doesn't say here. But it's directed by Ron Maxwell, came out in 1980. Like I said, Tatum O'Neal, Christy McNichol, a very young Matt Dillon is in this film,
yeah.
as well as Cynthia Nixon. So you have a very young but somewhat familiar cast, I would say. And this is a movie that takes place at a summer camp, and it's about um essentially teenagers in their mid-teenage years, those very mid weird self-discovery teenage years, coming of age years of like 15, 16, around there, where you're really trying to come into your own sense of adolescent maturity. You're starting to get into things that are more adult and trying to make your way through that mindset and stuff. And so you get a very open, very honest look at specifically like sexual awakenings and all of those things that probably many of us went through at that age, or relatively so. But what is interesting about this movie in comparison to the other films of its time with teenagers mixing in comedy, mixing in coming of age stuff, is it's rather mature in its approach to it.
Oh,
It
I would
takes it
agree.
very
Yeah.
seriously. It takes it very seriously, very open, doesn't play it for that, teenage sex comedies of the 80s like we know. There's something like Revenge of the Nerds, or even earlier with like Animal House, or films of that kind. Even the films like 16 Candles and all of those things, it's more on that vibe, but I would say even more mature than those films.
Yeah.
And Pretty in Pink, understand the John Hughes films of the 80s, which would come later. This film is very much a precursor to that, but it takes it rather seriously in that regard. So I was very impressed by that, because I was expecting more of a teen angst sex comedy of the 80s with all of its problematic material compared to now, as
Yeah, I mean,
many of us
it
have
feels
gotten
like
gotten into.
at first I thought we were going to get what's that? Hot American Summer.
Oh,
Uh,
Wet Hot American Summer.
yeah, I thought we
Yes.
were going to get something similar to that, maybe, going
Mhm.
into it, and then yeah, like you said, like it's very sincere. It's got a perspective that feels very genuine to a female perspective, especially for the sexual.
Yeah, it's very much told from all of from a female perspective, from
Yeah.
a young woman's perspective.
But it feels
Uh,
genuine. It doesn't feel like we're like trying to match like films like this that men usually star in. Like it's not.
right. Yeah, for
It's
example, I
definitely
mean, yeah, a lot of the kind of male perspective films that are dealing with this material are
like
always sophomoric.
well,
I'm thinking
like
of
our
like,
generation, it would be super bad. Super bad is like
yeah, I would, yeah, even something like American Pie or
yeah
something like that would be even like kind of our generation's version of this. Literally, American Pie is dealing with people trying to, experimenting with losing their virginity, experimenting with sexual things.
yeah
Turn of the century, kind of the late 90s type of era. So, a very interesting early millennials, maybe late Gen Xers or something like that.
yeah
But this film is, yeah, like I said, it feels like it's got that dazed and confused vibe to it as well. You know what
yeah
I mean? It's got a very, because it's of that, late 70s, early 80s time. But what really impresses me with this release is the cover art looks fantastic, and just the overall construction of this new
yeah.
line seems rather deluxe in its
Yeah,
approach. You can
kind of
see,
nice. It's a different. I love that they have chosen to do a different style, um, package for this new sub label, and it's got kind of that kind of meshy, like the interior media book is like got that like fabric inner book
hmm
style, and then it's got like that the tag
I
to pull it out, and it's
believe it's kind of a slip box design,
yeah.
rather thick slip box design, and I love the bright pink colors on it. I love the cover art. It also has the film is from a new 4K restoration. We got 2 new audio commentaries in there. We have alternate scenes. There's an hour-long interview with the director, Ron Maxwell. And there's a video essay by Sam Deegan and essays by Kate Hagan and uh, Katoya Murray. So it's a rather interesting, like I said, total package here. I'm very excited about this line because I didn't
Yeah.
know what this sub label would be. They have so many different sub labels dealing with so many different genre type things, but this is rather interesting. We'll get into
I was
the
gonna
other one that
say.
they're putting out as well,
Yeah.
which is completely different from this entirely in
It's
terms
like
of
it's like,
genre.
okay, maybe they're going a certain way, and then you're like, "Oh, no,
Yeah,
that next film is a little different."
right.
Um, do you wanna go ahead and talk about that one?
Yeah, let's go to the next one, which is a film we've talked about several times already throughout the
I feel
podcast.
like it. Yeah.
Red Rock West,
Yeah.
of course, starring the one and only Nicolas Cage, whose birthday it was the other day, Steven. I don't know if you celebrated.
I
Um,
I always do.
yeah, I
I
think you
always
celebrate him every day. I
Well,
like to
that's the
think.
thing is I celebrate them all the time, so yeah, yeah, definitely. And this, behind the scenes thing, we kinda heard about this, like, a long time ago.
Yeah, I we had
Yeah.
heard
Yeah.
rumblings and rumors that this release coming or a release of like this was coming from a Region A boutique label. We
Well,
thought
we
it was
knew
Vinegar Syndrome,
No,
and it ended up
I
being
think
them.
the we're not gonna say who told it, who
Right, right, right,
mentioned it
right.
to us, but they did tell us Vinegar Syndrome was the one doing it.
But we didn't
Um,
know we had no idea about this new
we didn't know it was gonna be
sub-label.
a new sub-label that they
Yeah.
used it they released it through, but a friend told us that this was coming at some point from them. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, I was just waiting and waiting because I knew that whatever I went ahead and bought the Signal 1 release because I love the movie and I love Nicolas Cage and I wanted it in my collection now. But I will be buying this because it is a very nice package.
Yes, it is.
And if you don't know what Red Rock West is, it's an early 90s Nicolas Cage film where he's a man who kind of is wandering into a town. He's looking for work, and the work he was going to get kind of, he's got like an injury, so they won't let him work there. So he kind of goes into town and he kind of stumbles into a bad situation. I'll just say that he gets into a compromising situation where he has somebody's money, and it really turns his whole situation upside down. So, really solid kind of. Would you call it this a noir of
Yeah,
sorts?
it's like a 90s neo-noir western,
Yeah.
I would say. Where you have Nicolas Cage, Dennis Hopper, Lara Flynn Boyle, and it's kind of like the Hitchcock.
JT Walsh.
JT Walsh is in there.
Yeah,
It's
we can't.
kind of like a Hitchcock wrong man scenario
Yeah.
turned into, like I said, a noir, neo noir western, where he kind of just stumbles into something accidentally, and he ends up getting swept up in a very dangerous situation. Kind of like a case of mistaken identity, where he's believed to be a hitman, but he's not. But he gets hired as a hitman. And he just kind of goes with it until things escalate out of control. Once you get Dennis Hopper involved, things kind of escalate into uncontrollable levels of
Yeah.
chaos. It's a very good movie. Like Steven said, Signal One Entertainment had put out a Blu-ray of this. Umbrella just put out a Blu-ray of this last year. That was another one I know a lot of our listeners and a lot of fellow collectors picked up. And then this one is now announced, and I believe this one has different special features than I think either of those. Don't quote me on that, but I can say that we got new stuff in here, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
We got a new interview with director and co-writer John Dahl, a new interview with co-writer Rick Dahl, new commentary track from Elaine Silver, who is kind of a noir expert, and filmmaker Christopher Coppola. And there's a new video essay by our buddy Chris O'Neill, whom we've
Oh
had
yeah.
on the show. And there's an archival interview with the editor Scott Chestnut, and then Caged In, archival video essay by Petros Pastivas.
I've seen
Um,
that feature. It's on
cool.
it's on the Signal One release, so it's
Oh,
good.
okay. So there is a little bit of crossover there.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't way off in that.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and once again, it's coming in that very cool, thick packaging, slip boxy type of way with a bunch of like, with a lot of cool artwork on it. The artwork looks very good. It's got a bunch of like Welcome to Red Rock West on the front. It's got a picture of like the horizon on the back. All of that cool stuff. Yeah, this is probably going to sell rather quickly, I think. Yeah,
Well, whenever some new label starts, even though this is a sub label, people are going to jump on especially the first couple releases. You know, they don't, you know,
we gotta get that number one.
That's what
You know
I'm saying.
I mean?
You got to get that number one. You got to get that number two. You know, like
It's
people,
like collecting comic books. You know, you
yeah,
gotta get that number one. You gotta get it.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
that
this is
collector's part that comes in. But for me, both of these films are worth picking up because of the films. They're both good films. Cinematographe, or however you say it, they're starting off well.
We'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just figured
somebody's
out
going
how
to
to
say it.
say yeah.
Somebody that's in charge has got to say it right. I'm wondering if Justin Liberty has already squashed this. I don't know. He knows how to. He would know.
He posted on his Instagram. I think kind of like an unboxing or a kind of a reveal of I don't know if both of these or one of these. I have to go and look, to be honest. But yeah, I know we'll get it down eventually. I feel like there's a lot more of these coming since it's a brand new line and they seem very invested. But yeah, those are the first two I guess we're going to talk about. Steven, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I'll change this up. I'll go from something, a couple classy films. To me, at least, they're classy compared to this movie. Let's talk about the film coming out from Unearthed Films, Guyver, the Guyver. How about that? This is a film. Let me make sure I get the right. This is the tough thing about doing multiple things. This is why live is just, God, how do you do it, Ryan?
You got to multitask in the moment.
Yeah, I know, right?
What do you need? Like a synopsis?
Well, I was going to get the date, but 1991,
okay.
And this is co-directed by Screaming Mad George.
What a name!
Yeah. So, what's the band that she was part of? Isn't that the same person I'm thinking of? Isn't she in like a band? Isn't she like a musician?
You are venturing into territory that I'm not sure of.
Okay, well then I'm
going to Google Screaming Mad George, Japanese artist and film director.
All right. Well, that's close. So the Guyver essentially is, like a Power Ranger movie. It's got the same type of effects as a power, people wearing like monster suits, and it basically, there's this, it's an alien suit. A young man discovers a mechanical device that merges with his own body, turning him into a cyborg superhero. When strange creatures start appearing, trying to take the device back, he begins to uncover a secret plot to genetically engineer terrifying monsters. Yeah, it's not a great movie, and it does have a sequel as well. But it's one of them things where it's like a cheesy fun watch. If you're into like that type of genre of the kind of, if you're into Power Rangers, honestly, if you like Power Rangers, this would be something you'd probably put on and be like, you feel at home at, watching this. And I did. Growing up, I did watch Power Rangers a lot, so this didn't bother me watching this. I was like, this is dumb, but I for some reason I can't turn away. But it's, there is some good martial arts. I believe the actor that he knew real martial arts. Some of the stunts are pretty good. Yeah, it's just a kind of a dumb fun watch. But that's from Unearthed Films.
Yeah, just a little bit of kind of cover up what we were just saying. So, Screaming Mad George, just a little backstory here. So Screaming Mad George began as a punk rock musician and played with the late 1970s band The Mad. His gory music videos led to a job in the film industry where he worked on special makeup effects.
Mm.
His early work includes effects on Big Trouble in Little China, Predator, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, and the cockroach scene in Nightmare on Elm Street 4 The Dream
Just
Master, and The Arena,
ah,
or The End Arena, which is, I believe, in a box set we'll talk about sometime later. Um, but yeah, so I get that kind of vibe just from the cover art alone because I did
yeah.
not see the movie. But you're right that Power Rangers being an apt kind of comparison to what we're talking about.
And then there's like a sprinkle of remember Animorphs
Yes, I do.
book series, and then
Yes,
they
I
did like a
do.
was it a show? They did a show,
I
and
believe
it
they did
has
do a
it does
show.
have moments of that in there where like people just like transform,
That's
to these
kind of
like
cool.
yeah. There's like some moments that I'm like, this is weird, but it's like it's kind of cool. Um, so yeah, that's the Guyver. Terrible name for a
Yeah, you know
hero.
why? Because that name
The
now in pop
MacGy it's
culture
like you
is
think
MacGyver.
MacGyver. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So
why.
yeah,
I
it's
mean, they
just
did the whole MacGyver TV series, then the top MacGyver TV series reboot that aired a few seasons recently. So that's why.
Animorphs. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Let me switch back to Vinegar Syndrome
All right.
because one of their titles that they did announce is the movie Southern Comfort, which is directed by a probably familiar name now if you've been collecting over the last year. I feel like there's been a lot of his movies that's either been released for the first time or re-released once again in different formats from different companies, whatever the case may be. And that is Walter Hill. Walter Hill, of course, we have the Walter Hill box set from Imprint. We've got, of course, the Warriors getting
Yeah.
getting released. What, couple of times, one from
Yeah.
Imprint and one from Arrow that just came out, which everybody scooped up um, just in December, making me all jealous and stuff. But I already own it already, so I can't justify rebuying it like a year after I bought it
Yeah.
again.
And that
Um,
wasn't a cheap set either. Yeah.
no, the Imprint one wasn't cheap, but of course now Arrow has to one up it by making it a 4K just to twist the knife, just to twist the knife in my back.
It's fine. It's either release. I mean, it's never looked better than it's looked in a long in getting both versions. I mean,
Right. And there was another Walter Hill film. What's the Bruce Willis film that you like, Steven?
oh, Last Man Standing, man.
Last Man Standing, which is
Hell
based off
yeah.
of Yojimbo, just got a Blu-ray release from um, Shout Factory in I think the last week of 2023. I think it literally came out that Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that's also available. But this film, Southern Comfort, came out in 1981, so it's right in the middle of like the movies that are in that Walter Hill box set, plus the Warriors. It's in that mix right there, in
Yeah.
that era of his career. And this is an interesting film because it's set during the height of Vietnam, and it's like towards the end of Vietnam, post Vietnam, I believe. Um, and a bunch of these soldiers, these kind of National Guardsmen, are supposed to be running this training exercise in the swamp, and they get lost. And not only do they get lost, but they end up kind of pissing off a group of very local rural people, and the local rural people start harassing them and basically like hunting them in the middle of the swamp. So it's got that very eerie vibe of like, the most dangerous game type of situation going on, but it's a bunch of these soldiers. And a lot of the people in this film are actors you're going to recognize: Keith Carradine, Powers Booth, Fred Ward. Um, uh, I, yeah, it's very interesting kind of cat and mouse type of game, but it also shows like it's one of those things where once again playing on the idea of getting lost in a place you shouldn't be with unsafe scenario continuing to escalate. And the movie is very, very good. Like I said, it's very tense. A lot of the characters die rather brutally. It's a really solid, I think, underrated film from Walter Hill's career. Like I said, it came out, around the time where a bunch of more well-known films are celebrated in his career. Yeah, I highly recommend this film for those of you who are fans of Walter Hill, may want to get this. If you are a completist like myself and are just kind of gathering up Walter Hill titles, you need to get it. Basically, if
Yeah.
your OCD is like mine, really solid release. I believe it's a 2-disc release, and yeah, it's got a new 4K UHD presented in high dynamic range. I believe it's got. I want to say these are archival. Um, not archival, but maybe perhaps already produced special features. Um, yeah, it's got a 20-page booklet with an essay in it as well, reversible sleeve art. And I believe this is a 4K UHD. Yes. So yeah, this is one that I watched, I think, right away. This may have been like the first movie I watched of 2024, just to
Yeah.
put that little history mark on it. Because if everybody got their letterboxed, you know, um, a letterboxd year in review email that you get every year, they always tell you what your first and last movie is. And I can never remember what my first movie was from 2020,
Yeah.
from whatever year, 2023, 2022. Apparently it was Heat um, with what's his name? Bert.
Michael Mann.
No, the other Heat. The other Heat with, why am I blanking on names right
Sandra
now?
Bullock.
No, oh, goodness.
That's
No.
another movie with heat in it.
Gee, a lot of movies with the name Heat in it. It's the one. Of course, they won't let me. What's his name? Why am I messing?
Come on, man.
Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Heat with Burt
it was a
Reynolds.
Kino title, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, my year in review was odd. I didn't expect mine because I did watch a lot of the Michael J. Murphy films in the set, and that became the most watched director of the year for me, just because of that one set. And then
mine was Jean Rollin,
well, yeah, you
because
watched
of
a
all
lot
the
of
stuff from Indicator.
yeah, yeah.
But my actor was Christopher Lee.
Mine was Randolph Scott, and that was just because I watched all of the films in the Indicator.
Yeah, the westerns, right?
Yeah.
I watched all those westerns too, so I don't know why mine wasn't Randolph Scott. Maybe I just watched a bunch more Christopher Lee than I remember.
Well, I mean, dude, I mean, there was a Lee, so much Lee that comes out. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Severin puts out a lot of Lee. Like, it's
very true. You can never go wrong. For 2 years in a row, I think for 2021 and 2022, mine may have been Vincent Price, like 2 years in a row. So that's why I go from Vincent Price to Christopher Lee. I'm in good company. But moving on from Southern Comfort, another Walter Hill gem of a movie. Steven, what is up on your to-do list?
Let's talk about one I think we both watched, and that is Dogs Don't Wear Pants.
Indeed.
This movie, this movie is a dark movie. I'd heard some good things. I remember when this had come out. I kind of remember seeing trailers for it, and I never got around to it. But finally watching this film, it is a
Dark
solid.
movie.
It's dark. Yeah. It is a pretty damn good movie though.
Yeah, it came out in 2019, so relatively new-ish film, and it's getting into so much in this movie. It's like, so the premise of the film is that this guy, I forgot, how do you pronounce his name? Is it Juha or something like that?
Don't ask me.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't ask you.
Juha sounds.
Yeah, this is actually a Finnish film.
Yeah.
Juha or Juha, I don't know how to pronounce it. He goes through a very tragic event happens early on in this film, and it haunts him throughout it.
Yeah.
Very traumatic, basically he loses a loved one very close to him, etc. And he ends up developing like it says here, a unexpected but powerful connection with a dominatrix named Mona. So when you hear that, it's going to get dark, it's going to get sexual, it's going to get uncomfortable for many people who those things tend to be uncomfortable for, depending on your tolerance of things like BDSM and all of those types of sexual things and whatnot. But the film goes so much more than to be something that's just like eroticism or just there for sexual stimulation or things like that. There's a lot psychologically going on within this character and within the character of Mona as well, and their relationship and the trajectory in which this character is going on this journey of either self-destruction, self-discovery, trying to make trying to deal with his grief, trying to deal with his life and the way it is or the way it's kind of just like, falling apart, but also a dead end life. So much going on in this movie. Um, and it becomes something a movie about like addiction and obsession and trying to find something to funnel your emotions through. And I think we all
Well,
can all
I mean,
get on that on some level. You know what
yeah,
I
I mean,
mean?
funnel your emotions, but also just feel something.
Yeah,
For him at this point, it's like he's so numb because
to the
of
world, to his life.
yeah, he needs to feel so, and I think that's what for like you said, this movie. A lot of times, I think in film, especially, we look at BDSM and we think it's just some kind of kinky thing that people
Mm,
that want to get off sexually want to do, but in this case, it's not necessarily that. It's to feel something in general. I
right.
think it's not necessarily directed at sex.
Yeah, and to
Um,
explore something outside of yourself and discover something outside of yourself that can be both satisfying as well as cathartic.
yeah,
And for many people, I think we can understand that at some level. I think we all
yeah,
have our thing. For Steven and I, it's been movies, it's been collecting, it's been camaraderie over
yeah.
movies in
Well,
general
I
and
mean,
stuff like that. Just
yeah.
to get like, kind of make our way through life and to
Well,
build something.
honestly, I mean, not to this degree, but and
Mm,
me deciding, me as for me deciding to get married and have a kid is was a big deal. Like, I mean, anybody that does that decides to, you know, uh, join your life with somebody else and then decide to make a life. It's like a decision that you don't really fully understand until later. Like, I think that as they grow up and stuff, but like it's it's a it's a weird thing just watching something that you made run around the house now.
mm. Yeah,
Like
it I think yeah, we tend to look at those types of things as just a normal part of life, but it's a life altering
it is.
thing. Relationships, children, things like that are very life altering.
Yeah.
It's not just something you do just to do. At least not in
I mean,
today's world.
some people act like they're
Some
doing it
people
just to
do
do it.
act like it, but
So some
it
people are
really
having too
shouldn't.
many kids.
Yeah. So, I mean, a little, we don't like to be judgmental here, but yeah, some people don't take those things as seriously as they are, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately. And then there can be there can be very
There
severe
could be bad
consequences because of
consequences.
it,
Yeah. Yeah.
child neglect and, all this kind of stuff. But this movie is very, very good. And we should mention
Yeah.
this is part of the partner labels. Um, I think this is Altered Innocence, is it?
This is Yellow
Oh,
Veil
Yellow
Pictures.
Veil.
Yeah.
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 Yellow Veil Pictures. It feels like an Altered Innocence film, though.
Uh, I don't
Does
know.
it
Alternatives tends to lean towards coming of age stories,
right, but
more
just
than
this
anything.
level of serious existential character pieces
Yeah.
feels like
This could have
that
been this.
Altered
The only
Innocence
other
had.
label that comes to mind that would have maybe put something like this out would be like Factory 25 or something
Really?
like that. Yeah.
I'm thinking Altered Innocence, I'm thinking AGFA, I'm thinking those
Agfa is a
labels.
little more exploitative. I mean,
That's also true.
I mean,
But
this
this just
movie,
because this is dealing with the sexual aspect of it all, and
yeah.
I feel like Altered Innocence and AGFA don't shy away from those things
Well, I mean,
ever,
definitely don't
you
shy
know?
away from real things, but like, yeah, I mean, there are some alternate titles that could fall closer to this. Something like The Wounded
Yeah,
Man.
I was thinking, "Ooh, man."
It would fall into that, but like for the most part, a lot of their stories are like young people having like a sexual awakening or it's just some kind of coming of age story as a lot of their titles. So I don't know, but that's neither here or there. But
Yeah, I'm just thinking of Wild Reads,
Wild
which I got.
Reads, yeah,
Wild Reads is Altered Innocence, young coming of age film.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, so you're right. So
Brothers Keeper is another one like that. Like
right.
it's a lot of things like
This is
that.
more of an adult version of what Altered Innocence kind of does with their films, or
Yeah.
puts out those types of movies. Um, but moving on from there, I feel like we need to go lighter, but I don't think we got lighter stuff on our list.
Sure, I got a light one. I
Okay.
was gonna save it for later, but it's a light one. Here you go. Major League.
Oh, really?
I put this on here just because I saw it and it got announced today, and I was like, I love this movie. It gives me a chance to talk about Major League for a second.
Go on,
Major
splurge.
League getting a 35th anniversary 4K from, I'm guessing, the studio.
I think it's Paramount, I think.
Paramount. Okay. But I love Major League. This was one of my favorite baseball movies growing up, of course, with Charlie Sheen and
Yeah,
what's
Tom Berenger.
Tom Berenger. Who's the guy that plays Serrano? It's Allstate guy.
Oh my goodness,
President of 24.
Is that? Why is my mind is completely?
I forget his name all the time.
I'm on Major League right now, so. Oh boy, who is it in this movie? Not Wesley's. Dennis Haysbert.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes is in the film. Rene Russo.
Yeah, Rene Russo. Yeah, it's such a great film. So, if you don't know Major League, of course, it's about the Cleveland. It's kind of centered around the real life team. At the time, they were called the Indians. Now they're called the Guardians. And so the team is bad. And so the owner dies, and then the ownership goes over to the owner's widow, who does not care about this team and wants to sell the team and move the team to another city. And so what she decides to do is put together the worst team possible. So yeah, they're returning players, but then she starts to have open tryouts and just brings in what they think are the worst players possible. And like any great underdog story, things happen and it doesn't quite go her way. Great comedy in this film. Just if you're into baseball too, like that's
a quintessential sports baseball movie.
Yeah. It is a guy movie. It's not really. I mean, there is a little bit of a romance, if you want to call it, in there, but it's really a dude movie. It's guys, weird characters, weird quirky characters. Serrano is this guy that's into voodoo, and he like prays to a little voodoo doll to get hits, and just.
You know what's interesting? This is another one of those franchises where I think I watched Major League 2 first, and then I went back and watched Major League. So I did it kind of in reverse.
Did you ever watch the third one? Did you ever watch
Back to the Minors? I have. Not very good.
It's not. It's funny. I always think
it wasn't straight to video. I think it was straight to video.
It might have been, but I saw it. I mean, I saw it a lot growing up. It was on cable a lot. It always reminds me, you say that movie's not good. It reminds me of the third Ninja Turtles movie, of how much dip in quality that third Ninja Turtles movie was.
I saw that movie 3 times in theaters as a kid.
I'm sure you did.
Keep in mind, it was 1993 and I was 6 years old.
Yeah, you thought it was the best thing ever.
I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
They fucking go to Japan? Turtles. They go back in time to Japan?
Go back in time? When you're a 6-year-old, man, you're just happy to be at the movie theater. You don't care if the turtles look like rubber suits from.
They took a step back with them. So they must have maybe the suits got melted somewhat in a fire, and that's what they looked like afterwards.
Yeah, if you thought like the first suits were bad from like the original one, the ones from the third film look really bad, awful. Yeah, they go back in time and they become samurais. Just on paper, that sounds like
it just sounds amazing. Yeah, it does. Didn't really work out though. But yeah, Major League, love it. It's a great sports movie. I might pick this up. It might look pretty. I might wait for the reviews, see what the people say if the 4K looks good.
What's interesting is it's a movie I've always wanted in my collection, but I've never had it. I never had it on DVD.
Well, here you go.
Never had it on VHS. Blu-ray. The Blu-ray's been out forever. I think the reason why I never bought it because it's one of those comedies I don't quite buy as much as I used to, or as much as I used to buy on DVD. I think the reason being is they always played Major League on television constantly.
Sure. And there is no television anymore, though.
I mean,
you obviously still have it because you watch Jeopardy.
Yeah, I'm looking at a TV right in front of me.
Well, what I'm saying is cable.
Oh, cable, yeah.
Nobody's watching cable except for people over 65.
It's very interesting. I mean, this is a whole different kind of avenue that I'm not going to go down. But like us growing up, Steven and I feel like we watched a lot of movies on cable versus the younger kids growing up now watch everything on streaming for the most part.
This is why I'm so pissed off at every release of Ace Ventura because they never put that damn dolphin scene in there. and it was
Right.
on
It's
TV.
always the cut for like the cut for cable cut, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that I fucking love that part, and you never put it on the damn DVD. I'm so pissed
No,
off.
and I have the DVD as well.
Yeah.
They put that on Blu-ray several times, but like you said, with that scene cut out. Um, but moving on to something, I guess that's kind of also a comedy, but more of a satire. Um, and that is also from Vinegar Syndrome. One of their sub labels, I think, is from Vinegar Syndrome Labs, is Sex Mission. Now you hear the
Mm.
word Sex Mission, and I don't know what runs through your head. For me,
I'm thinking like mission to have sex.
yeah, I guess you would think it would be, but
Okay.
it's
No.
not really that. So the movie came out in 1984, but it's set in 1991. Oh no, it's initially set in 1991, and then it moves forward. Basically, I'll tell you this. So there are these two. This is a first of all, this is a Polish film by Juliusz Mikulski, I think is the name.
Wow.
Um, hopefully that's how you pronounce it. I could just make it sound cool for all I
Sounded
know.
great. Sounded great.
So in 1991, these two guys, Max and Albert, basically sign up for this science experiment where they're going to freeze themselves or go into hibernation for 3 years. Like they just sign up for 3 years, and then once they
So
get out, they're gonna get
they
paid.
do the Austin Powers thing.
Or even I was even thinking of the Demolition Man, to be honest, because it feels more like a
Good,
Demolition Man esque.
good man. That's a good one. Good job, man.
So what happens is they don't get let out after 3 years. What ends up happening is they end up getting, I guess, being brought out of hibernation in the year 2044,
Mm.
which ironically is a lot closer than we may think. It's 20
God
years
damn
from
it! It
now.
is.
and so they get brought out, but what has happened? They are the only two men left around. The men have gone extinct. So what happened between the time that they went into this hibernation is that there was apparently this great war that happened where some scientists developed this thing where they were able to stop the male gene from being passed down
Mm.
genetically, I guess. Yeah, as you can tell, it's very convoluted, very sci-fi, wacky. And so men just went extinct over time. So now only women kind of exist, and they get unhibernated in this underground bunker that's completely run by women, and they are kind of have to adjust to that.
Mm.
They have to adjust to this world run by women. Everything is like very, very feminist. Everything is very obviously dominated by women. There is still things like um, uh, basically test tube babies are how they procreate and stuff like that now, but it's always only women. So you just got these two men kind of running around with all of these women, and you can assume, of course, there's going to be a lot of sexual things going on. Like, one of the guys is kind of like super happy. Oh, look at all these women around, all this kind of stuff. The other guy's like, oh my goodness, my family is gone. My life's completely changed. I mean, all this kind of stuff. So you get that kind of yin yang relationship of what's going on there. But the whole movie is actually like thematically an allegory for communism because it was made in 1984 when Poland was part of the Soviet Union and all that kind of stuff. So, if anything, it's trying to do what the great Kieslowski was doing with his work at the time, but just done in a more comedic satirical way. Like
Yeah.
the movie has like the budget of something like a Barbarella or a another sci-fi film of that time. Not quite as cheesy as Barbarella, but you understand what I'm saying. If you remember when uh like um like Steven just mentioned, like when Austin Powers was unfrozen and stuff, and
Yeah.
they would put on like those like one suits or whatever that he would walk around in that in at the beginning of the movie. They kind of dressed like that in these jumpsuits, and you learn about the way in which the world is, and maybe things aren't as 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 they really are. There may be something else going on behind the scenes that they've got to discover and whatnot. So I thought it was rather fun for
Okay.
the context of which the film was trying to propose things. It is also kind of a problematic critique of feminism as well, because it kind of paints it in this over the top negative way and whatnot, which I guess it's trying to be both a feminist film, but also anti-feminist film and an anti-communist film. lot going on in this movie. But
Wow.
the movie's called Sexmission, which is a little misleading because there's not a lot of sexual things happening other than like random gratuitous nudity.
Mhm.
Because the society in which they live in, sexual desire apparently is stifled by a medication they take as well.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like an interesting little wrinkle there. So that's why none of the women are like romantically involved with one another. So it kind of gets rid of the idea of like lesbianism and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, it's an odd film, but very rather interesting.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Sex
yeah.
Mission, and it's from Vinegar Syndrome Labs. So if you've been collecting all of these sub label of their labs releases, this may be one you want to pick up. Um, and this I'm trying to think of what else they did in their labs releases that were a part of this. Oh yeah, they did Flesh and Fantasy,
Yeah.
The Cat Creeps, the Apocalypse Tetralogy, the films of Peter Salkin. It's in that same era, and I believe he was a Polish. Those are Polish films as well, so those kind of go hand in hand. But moving on, Stephen, let's move on from Sex Mission.
Well, you got me all wrapped up in Sex Mission.
I
I
know.
really want to
How do you
watch it
follow that?
now.
How do you follow that up?
I don't know how. I don't know how you do it. Um, how about we try to follow it with a film that has had some releases had a pretty good release from Arrow, but now it's getting a release from Shout Select.
Oh, nice.
Over the Edge.
Now, Steven, I was checking Letterbox when I was watching after I watched this. Turns out you have seen it already.
Oh
I think
yeah, yeah. I
you
have the
saw it.
Arrow. I have the
You
Arrow
you
release.
have the hour release. There you
Yeah.
go. So talk about a coming of age film.
Oh yeah.
What a movie.
Talk about another film with Matt Dillon in it.
This, I believe, was his first film. I've got to look that up so I don't look like an idiot on this live here. Very super young, like maybe 16-year-old Matt Dillon in this
Yeah.
film. So we got double Dillon with these release announcements this
double
week.
double dill. Double dill for you on episode spot number 130, guys.
Exactly. It's more of the Matt Dillon. So I gotta scroll all the way down because I don't realize how much Matt Dillon has done. So yeah, Over the Edge was his first film. His second film was Little Darlings. So
There you go.
you can get his first two movies in very good quality, I assume. So Over the Edge is a very interesting coming of age film. A lot of things happening in this. To kind of break it down, a group of bored teenagers rebels against in the community of New Granada after the death of one of their own. That is a very condensed version of what
Yeah,
this movie
it's
is about.
condensed. Yeah.
Very condensed. So you do have a group of young kids. We're talking mid teenagers, young teenagers, women and yeah, women and boys. Oh, girls and boys, I should
I
say,
was gonna
because
say
they're super
women and
young in my
what?
mind.
What?
Boys and girls, and they living in this kind of startup, like suburban community that all their parents have moved them to. You've got like these nice like starter homes and stuff and whatnot, and this is one of the movies that I absolutely gravitate towards. This idea of existential coming of age films from teenagers who have just this innate disconnect with the adults that are around them. The
Yeah.
adults in this movie have cannot figure out
It,
why these kids are the way they are.
well,
Can't
this
can't
is
figure it out.
this is what as you brought up him John Hughes earlier. This is exactly what John Hughes tries to tap into a lot
Mm.
in his movies. But I also think about the film Pump Up the Volume.
Oh yeah.
Is a film that kind of plays on this wavelength a little bit, where you got this guy who's doing he's a night jockey or whatever you want to call it, a disc jockey and he talks about just existential things, being a kid and how the adults don't listen.
Yeah, and I feel I've talked about this many times. I have this theory that I've been working on for years. Probably not really a theory, probably not original at all. Every generation has these types of movies
yeah,
about this type of youth culture. Rebel Without a Cause in the 50s. Pretty sure you had something like that in the 60s, and in the 70s you had things like uh, I'm just completely blanking on
Easy Rider.
The George Lucas film. Well, even Easy Rider or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that as well. But that's more of like society in and of itself not
yeah.
connecting with each other. But I'm thinking of the George Lucas film from the 70s, American
American
Graffiti.
Graffiti. Yeah,
In the 80s, I think you had an abundance of that
yeah,
specifically because you're getting the kids of the post hippie era. You're getting the kids of the post Vietnam
Yeah,
era, the post
Ferris
60s era.
Bueller. Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, you're getting all of that. When I was watching this movie, it gave me vibes of a movie called River's Edge
Oh
with
yeah.
Keanu Reeves, Iona Sky. Um, what's his name is also in that movie from Back to the Future. He played George McFly. Um,
Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover is in that movie as well. The movie itself, I think, is really good in showing the disconnect between that generation of the kids growing up in the 80s versus their parents who grew up probably in the 60s during that
Yeah.
era. And even though the parents went through this era of freedom and expression and all of this kind of stuff, they still don't understand why the kids are the way they are.
Yeah.
They're on their own wavelength and they can't get off of that wavelength to kind of open their eyes of awareness to what these kids are going through. In the 90s, you got movies like Kids, even like Dazed and Confused was obviously about
Yeah.
the 70s, but you can kind
Yeah.
of that's universal, really.
Humboldt Horror Honey says, "What is this generation film when it
That's a
comes
good
to that?"
question.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Um,
I've been ruminating. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. We were
you
in the
talking about millennials?
I guess the last 20 years, I guess you could say, maybe like, I don't know. I don't know why this movie comes to mind. It really doesn't fit the criteria, but my mind went straight to the movie Hesher with Joseph Gordon-Levitt,
Mm.
even though it's not like necessarily in that genre, but it's about this guy who like a kid, mother dies and then his world's turned upside down. And then like Hesher comes in and just shows him like, it's okay, man. And like fucking goes in and changes his whole world and
You know
rebels
what?
against everything that's
I
going on.
mean, what's interesting, we have such a cross section of different those types of movies in different genres. For a lot of people, there's Mean Girls, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Donnie Darko is something like that for us. You know what I mean? It really all depends on.
She says Hunger Games.
Oh, yeah, I
I
guess.
mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, but that's very much commenting on the breakdown of society, in my opinion. Yeah.
definitely.
I
Yeah.
mean, for a lot of people, Clueless is one of those kind of coming of age films. Um, yeah, it's very interesting. I think because our generation, specifically the millennials, have gone through so much. I mean, there's certain. You mentioned Superbad.
Yeah.
I think of Superbad because I was in high school, very close to the time those characters were in high school. You have movies like Juno. You have, Perks of Being a Wallflower
Is a
is
great one.
something that's
I mean,
very near and
these
dear
are
to me.
these are definitely coming of age type of
Yeah.
stories, but like movies about kind
But
of,
specifically the disconnect between adults and teenagers.
yeah.
Um,
That's a tough. That's like nothing's really straight coming to mind right at this moment. About that kind of fits that
yeah.
criteria. Because it's tough. So
Yeah.
we're looking.
I'm just looking, and I'm just thinking in my head.
I'm thinking about films about how children or young adults are having issues with like maybe their parents or their people in school. Like I was for some reason for a second I was thinking about Hearts Beat Loud.
Mm,
Because like she's having a kind of an issue connecting with her father in that film, but the way they do connect is through music. But they're on different wavelengths when it comes to everything else, basically. At least the beginning of the film. I don't know. That's a tough one. We could go all day scrounging our brains about it, but maybe something will come to mind by the end of the show. Or Andrew will continue to
yeah,
search
I'll
and
continue to
search.
Google random things.
Yeah, no, and until he figures something out. But I'll move us on. Let's go to a film, back to a partner label, one of our favorite partner labels. Let's go over to Canadian International Pictures and their release of One Man, which was a little different than I was expecting. I got a chance to watch this. Jonathan over there was awesome enough to let me take a look at a screener of this film because it was hard to. You can't find it. It was hard one to find. I didn't find it anywhere. So he hooked me up. So thanks to Jonathan over there. And so to get a synopsis here, we got While visiting a Montreal hospital, investigative reporter Jason Bradley meets concerned citizen Marion, who reveals to that the local children are being poisoned by a nearby factory. When the victims begin dying, Brady recognizes the urgency of this story, but he encounters resistance and danger at every turn. As his obsession grows, so does his relationship with Marion, causing a rift in his marriage. And right as a series of powerful, unscrupulous forces promise violent retaliation on Brady, his wife, and their children. So yeah, I kind of going off of that, and kind of going into this film knowing that synopsis, I was thinking this was going to be a lot more like, almost like one of them kind of political like movies, like All the President's Men, a little bit more intense, like really intense, really, like, and suspenseful. And honestly, it's not. I was a little surprised that the movie's actually kind of lighter than I thought it would be. It's a little more on the melodramatic side. It actually spends a lot more time with the relationship aspects of the characters. His issues, as it said in the description, with his kind of affair he's having with this woman, and the troubles he's having with his wife. Like, it does spend a little more time on that than I was expecting. So then it maybe took a little bit away from the actual like main plot for me. It's not a bad movie. It's a solid movie. It's got, the lead actor, make sure I get his name here. I guess it's Len Carew. He's great. He's really good. I really like his presence in the film. Not the greatest dude. He's cheating on his wife, but it's still there's he's got a presence. He's a good actor. I liked him. I thought he was good. But it's directed by Robin Spry. I'm not familiar with him, but yeah, it's got the cool thing about this release is there's a lot of Robin Spry's like early stuff. Like it's got some shorts in here, 5 short films directed by him. And a couple other ones here. So yeah, this is a pretty loaded release. So yeah, Andrew, anything to add?
Yeah, I had wanted to see the movie just because, I continually support Canadian International Pictures. And yeah, it was impossible to find, not streaming anywhere, not available in any place one would think to look. It is, yeah, it's a pretty loaded release. I don't know if you've checked out all the special features.
It
but
is.
It looks
Yeah,
like it's got a.
I said that. I don't think you were listening when I was talking.
No, I wasn't. God damn it! You caught me.
I said all that. I saw. I said, yeah, it's loaded. It's Horror Honey's saying that she's Canadian and she's never heard of this.
Yeah. To be honest, most of the things that they put out, I've never heard of.
I've never heard of. I think the only thing they've put out I've maybe heard of is the Amityville Horror movie.
I would say, yeah, maybe just because I've heard of Amityville Horror and it was one of the sequels.
Yeah,
that's kind of the only reason I would know. But yeah, I always support those guys. So whatever they put out, I at least give it a watch. I know their last two kind of the last 2 releases are I'm a little bit
Christmas
down
movies, them crazy Christmas movies.
Yeah, the the Christmas Martian, and then what was the other one they put out?
The one with the dog in it.
Yes, the one with the dog. Yeah, the one with the dog in it
he's not that bad.
The Dog Who Stopped the War.
The Dog Who Stopped that movie's not that bad. But
it's not that bad.
The Christmas
Martian. That's a different story.
That's a different story.
But some of the other things that they put out, of course, we've loved. Their documentaries. They got Gina,
the Buster Keaton set that Buster Keaton one.
Yeah, that was really what blew the doors off of things. That Buster Keaton film. Buster Keaton Rides Again, and even their early stuff. I still have to get my hands on the Ernie game. I
got that a little while back ago.
Yeah, there's still copies left now that I'm looking. So that's definitely that's like the first release. I don't have it.
She said Gina is a great one.
Yeah, Gina is really, really good. So yeah, I dig their stuff. But let me look at my list and see what else I've got.
Well, how about you talk about this one right here? If you look at the screen, boom,
Oh, I'm not even on the correct tab. So
Lynch.
Lynch Oz. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Get me back on track here. So Lynch Oz. This is part of the Janus Contemporaries. This is like one of their next Janus Contemporaries releases. This is a documentary covering two things that I am endlessly fascinated about: David Lynch and The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Specifically, what are the connections between David Lynch's films and The Wizard of Oz? Apparently, there are many. Apparently, Wizard of Oz, I think, may be David Lynch's favorite film or one of his favorite films of all time.
Yeah.
He's mentioned it in interviews and such. He's thrown hints into a bunch of his movies. He's named characters like Dorothy and stuff like that. Um, so the movie is broken up into 6 segments, and each segment is hosted by a different host or narrator. And basically, it's them going through their interpretations of Lynch's work and how it connects with The Wizard of Oz and pretty much everything in between. And some of the hosts you will recognize. You will recognize, um, let's see, just personally, um, it's um yeah, I believe the first host is Amy Nicholson, and Rodney Asher, I think, is the second host. But the third host, of course, my favorite part of the movie and one that's more near and dear to my heart, John Waters.
Mm.
John Waters is notorious
Oh yeah.
for his favorite movie, I think, being The Wizard of Oz. He always talked about how he dressed up as the Wicked Witch of the West, I believe, as a kid for Halloween or something like that. Just, fascinated by Margaret Hamilton and all this kind of stuff. And of course, he talks about his love of The Wizard of Oz and how it connects with David Lynch. He and David Lynch have apparently known each other forever. They're like friends. There's pictures with them at like Bob's Big Boy, the donut place in California.
Yeah.
Very famous picture. You can Google it. So they've known each other for forever. And I think Karen Kusama does a segment of this as well, the director. And it's kind of each of them giving their perspective, like I said, about The Wizard of Oz, about David Lynch's work. Very interesting perspectives, some repetition of themes, some repetition of ideas, things like that. But if you're a super David Lynch fan, I think you'll find it rather fascinating. It is a long documentary. It is it's 108 minutes, which I guess is not too long, but when it is very when it feels like a college lecture, it may not be for you. It may feel very long because
Yeah.
that's what it feels like. It feels like this is like a college class of different lecturers telling you their thesis about these ideas. John Waters does lighten things up with, of course, his usual, just the way he is. So that's definitely a highlight. But yeah, the Janus Contemporaries are all really good. The ones they've put out so far and the ones that we've covered. I know they were on sale, like I believe I mentioned before, at the Criterion sale at Barnes and Noble. I wanted to pick up EO. That was the one I wanted the most. But all the copies they ended up having had some type of issue with cover art being misaligned or cover art being torn in some way. Just a big mess. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to when I buy Criterions, so I need these things in perfect pristine condition. Come on, people.
I know.
Um,
I get it.
that's one of my OCDs as well. I've mentioned this many times. I am the guy in the store looking at every single slipcover in order to get the most perfect one.
Well, dude,
Yeah.
you can make fun of people for doing that, but ultimately you're paying your hard-earned money. So
Especially now with new releases being like, 30, $35 a piece,
yeah.
this better be in pretty good condition.
Yeah.
I had to go recently to my local Best Buy to pay my last respects.
Mhm.
It's kind of a funeral scene there now for movie collectors. I'd been going to that local Best Buy probably since 2006, 2007, just for, movie collecting. And yeah, the movies are going to be all gone very, very soon. They were already dwindling down to nearly nothing, but once the shelves are bare, it's going to be like a funeral basically. So I had to go and at least buy
I'm
something,
scared
you
to
know.
go to I'm scared to go to mine. I don't know when I
Well, I
will.
one thing I did is I made sure to look online and check to see if they had any movies left in their inventory. So at least I know there's something there to go look for, or else I don't want to show up randomly just and there
Uh,
not be nothing there. Oh, what a horrible, tragic sight
guess I'm
that would
looking
be.
at the cell phone cases.
Yeah, I know. What am I supposed to do there now? Oh,
I don't know what to
but
do with my
but
hands.
anywho, I
Mm.
when I was there, I was doing my usual, doing the slipcover thing and checking them out. Then, of course, you got to make that ultimate decision. Okay, all of these slipcovers are not looking too good, but which one l- is not as damaged as the other? Essentially, you gotta make some tough decisions. You gotta look them under a microscope. But moving on
Well,
from
this is the
Lynch
last one
Oz,
here. This is the
what
last one.
what
It's
what
you.
is the last one you got?
This is you
Oh yes.
dancing in the dust.
So we've got so there is a double feature
Yes.
of the first films of Asghar Farhadi being released. Asghar Farhadi being the director of two films that won the Oscar for best non-English language film in A Separation and I believe The Salesman, if memory serves. I think unfortunately I think recently he's been caught up in a rather messy plagiarism thing going on with a lot of his work. Apparently, that's something you could probably Google and read on Wikipedia about. But these are a double feature of his first two films. And Stephen, who is the label putting this out? Oh,
Oh
let
man,
me
you
look.
caught me off guard.
Okay, let me
I was
scroll
not
down. I
ready
didn't
for
have
it.
the thing up.
I
I didn't
will.
have it up. That's why.
Yeah, so it's
No, here it is. It's Film Movement.
oh, it's their first release then.
Yes. So Film Movement's actually been around for a little while,
Oh
and I
yeah, yeah.
and I think we've covered their releases before, and they've been putting. Actually, we may be covering another one of their releases relatively soon. Yeah. So film no, so Film Movement's put it. Yeah, film. They've been putting out stuff on their own, and now I think they've partnered up with Vinegar Syndrome to be one of their partner labels. And yeah, this is their first release, but I think there's a bunch of their other releases that they just dumped on here, previous ones,
Yeah.
for people to kind of, I guess, get a taste of the types of movies they put out and purchase them and whatnot. So we've got two films here called Dancing in the Dust and Beautiful City. One came out in 2003 and the other in 2004. Unfortunately, we don't get much of in the way of special features other than it says video essays and that's it. How many video essays are we getting? Is it one for each film? I don't really know. It just says video essays, and each film comes on its own disc. Um, yeah, I'm fascinated by this just because I don't have the Salesman. I don't even think the Salesman got a Blu-ray release because I think the Salesman is when a lot of this plagiarism issue kind of popped up. Nope, I lied. So the Salesman did get a Blu-ray release by Sony Pictures, probably Sony Pictures Classics, in 2017. Yeah, it's actually out of print, going for a pretty penny on Amazon, and I'm assuming on eBay as well. So yeah, A Separation was really the movie that kind of put him in the public consciousness. It's a movie dealing with um kind of the the a married couple are faced with a difficult decision to improve the life of their child by moving to another country or to stay in Iran and look after a deteriorating parent who has Alzheimer's disease. Obviously, you can tell very real life story. You know what I mean? Having to navigate life things and whatnot. It seems to be the wavelength of which he operates on for the most part. And of course, he's an Iranian filmmaker, so he's dealing with a lot of the cultural things of the Iranian world, as well as dealing with their cultural things, like Islam and such of those things, and their traditions and whatnot. So I've always been fascinated by exploring their culture through film, which I think is a very powerful thing that film can do. But I think that's about it on that. There was one more film that I had brought up, but there's not even a picture of it, Stephen. Because this movie, I want to put this in here because people may be interested in it. This movie never had a DVD release, never had a Blu-ray release, and it's really kind of coming to home video roughly properly for the first time. And that is the 1987 William Friedkin film Rampage,
Mm,
starring Michael Biehn from um what was Michael Biehn in Terminator as well as Aliens,
yes.
if memory serves. So Rampage was a movie that came out, like I said, well, it was supposed to come out in 1987, but what happened is the production company, I believe, the De Laurentiis company or whatever it was went bankrupt. So the movie did not get put out in theaters until 1992 by Miramax. But the movie apparently had been released on Laserdisc in 1989 in Japan. So those Laserdiscs were imported into the United States by movie enthusiasts, and that's how they watched the movie. And judging by the quality of the version that I watched, it may have been from those Laserdisc, may have been from those Laserdisc release. Um, yeah, it's a movie that I think was also recut for the Miramax release in 1992, and we've talked about it a few times. Miramax's catalog is kind of all over the place. I've just recently not I just recently found out that a couple of years ago, Paramount bought a good chunk of the Miramax catalog, and they re-released a bunch of the Blu-rays that had been put out earlier. For example, like The Crow. The Crow had been put out by Lionsgate earlier on Blu-ray, which I'm pretty sure many of us have. And then a couple of years ago, Paramount just re-released that same Blu-ray once again. So I know a lot of people are probably curious about if there's going to be a 4K release of The Crow anytime soon, because it is the 30th anniversary this year. I remember, I think 1994 is when it came out. So it would be nice if we would get something
No,
like that.
they will. It'll coincide it with that new Crow movie they're doing.
Oh, gee, that thing's been in development for what, over a decade? That thing's been
25
developed
years?
forever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Forever. How many different actors and directors and writers and producers are
Who'd
they gonna
they
get
end
on
up
that
with?
film?
Who'd they end up with? Wasn't it a Jason Momoa?
It was going to be Bradley Cooper at one point
Yep.
and Jason Momoa, and now are they thinking Bill Skarsgård?
That's who it was. Yeah, Bill Skarsgård's
That
got
would
it.
be a good pick for right now.
Yeah.
But they can't get that off the ground to save their lives.
I don't know why. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on either. Obviously, maybe it's a rights issue. It's probably changed hands so many times over all this
They're
time.
probably waiting for the 90s retro cycle to come back.
It's starting.
It's starting. So they're it's time.
It's time.
Time to get your emo, soundtracks out.
Your 90s metal going.
Yeah,
Yeah, the soundtrack for The Crow is very 90s metal.
Yes.
But back to Rampage. Rampage is a very dark film. So Michael Biehn plays a lawyer in this film who goes after this serial killer who not only, commits, serial murder, but he also harvests the organs of his um, of of his prey and then consumes their blood. So we got a little vampiric situation going on here. Like I said, very dark movie, very uh interesting movie. Yeah, it says Alex is an outwardly normal man who goes on killing and mutilating sprees. When he is finally captured and brought to trial, the district attorney, portrayed by Michael Biehn, is torn between his own liberal ideals on guilt and the crimes the accused is being tried. So basically, Michael Biehn's character is pressured by the DA and other people to for the death penalty in this case, because the crimes are so horrific. But apparently he's against the death penalty, so he fights within himself about whether to pursue that and how he's going to pursue that. That's one element of the film. The other element is obviously catching this killer and putting them on trial. And then of course the trial and all that kind of stuff, like the usual court case stuff. But yeah, the quality of which the one I watched was pretty rough. The movie I think was in like 235:1 originally, and the cut I watched was Academy 133:1, super low resolution. So hopefully, I believe Kino is putting out this in 4K. That's what they apparently said. And also within the thread, someone asked, or within the comments, someone asked, "Are you going to be are you going to look at releasing Bug, because they had canceled it before?" Apparently, Kino is going to be releasing William Friedkin's Bug on eventually. So that's some interesting added information about more William Friedkin on 4K or Blu-ray. Thought people would like to know that if you haven't already imported I believe it was the imprint release.
Yeah, imprint, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I believe at the time they had canceled the Kino release because William Friedkin, it's kind of tough to get his input on things and whatnot. Absolute legend of a man. But yeah, so that's the last thing I watched.
Yeah, Har Honey says, okay, I like Harvest Oregon films. Intrigued. Okay.
Intrigued.
Yeah,
All right,
okay. Yeah.
right on.
Cool. Whatever you're into. All right. Well, that is going to be it for our announcements, highlights for this episode. See, we still turn that into an hour 20 minutes. Look at that
I
shit.
know.
So you're still, you're going to get every little. We're not going to bring up every movie that got announced, but you're going to get a good handful. That's it's going to vary between how the weeks go, but
Yeah, obviously this was very Vinegar Syndrome heavy because
yeah,
of them being really the only ones that put out a slate. I know Shout Factory had put out a bunch of stuff as well.
yeah,
Check that out. They're putting out their usual 4K re-releases and stuff
yeah.
that they're working on. And we did touch on it, but Over the Edge being the one that I definitely am most interested in when it comes to their re-releases
Oh yeah.
or just re-releases in general. Shout Select. But let's move on, I guess, to the grand finale or the highlight, if you will.
I guess
This
it's
was the one we did the most work on, to be honest.
I guess,
My
yeah.
opinion.
But so just a little precursor. Shelf Shock Rewind, the Disc Award show, will be live February 18th, 7 p.m. EST. It will be probably streaming through Disconnected's channel also, not as long as, of course, with the and various other places. Of course, Shelf Shock's got a lot of pages. So please remember that date. Watch live. All the right now, voting's going on. So if you're not aware, you can go and find links at the Shelf Shock pages to voting so that we can get our winners for this year. But I guess in a way, you're going to get the kind of sneak peek to me and Andrew, because me and Andrew we're part of what is called the CSC, which is a pretty hefty group of contributors, some producers on some discs that all get involved and help come up with a crop of nominees that you guys are voting on. And of course, there is the option to write in, but the crop of nominees you're voting on right now were put together by people like us. So we're going to kind of give you the sneak preview of some of our favorite, things that we nominated. And some of them made it through, some of them didn't. There's a particular thing that I'm a little upset that didn't really make a splash this year, but we'll get to that.
Oh, and, I feel like a hot take is coming.
It's not a hot take. It's nothing hot about it. It's
just a take.
It's just it's one of the best releases of the year, and it's not really represented this year. But
right.
We'll get to it. So what we'll do is we'll kind of go through the categories. Some of them we won't spend as much time on.
Yeah.
Because
some of them, maybe you will hear some repetition and things like that. I think a lot of it, and also I just want to put in the caveat, some of these titles we own and some of them we don't.
Sure.
But we've covered them obviously on the show at some points, and we've seen other people obviously get them and add them to their collection, so we get a sense of the quality. You know what I mean? I spent a lot of time watching a lot of our fellow collectors here on YouTube, people like Just the Discs, Brian Sauer, Serial at Midnight, Jeff from At Home Movies, just a lot of people that you probably know in the community as well, those of you listening and watching, just to get a sense of what did they think was some of the best stuff this year. So I believe you want to start off with the first category. Let's kick it into gear.
So the first category is the best pre-code silent film release. So anything prior to 1934. I think both of us kind of are on the same page, and I think a lot of people are. Is that they both agree that I think I got it here somewhere. That
what are you looking for?
The Todd Browning set.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the
you got it
right here. Yeah. The Todd Browning Sideshow Shockers, which has Freaks, The Unknown, and The Mystic. So a 3-film set. For those of you who are, for listening for the longest time, when this was announced, I was overjoyed, to say the least. Finally, Todd Browning's Freaks get nice. Finally, Todd Browning's Freaks gets a Blu-ray release. Some people were probably wondering why was there no 4K, and I'm like, you have to ask Criterion. I'm just glad that this is finally out in high definition.
It doesn't. Everything doesn't have to be a 4K, guys.
Very true. Very true. Some
Yeah.
things can't for whatever reason, whether it be expense, whether it be because the elements are just not
Yeah,
there.
some things are not warranted a 4K upgrade. Sometimes it's not. It can turn out worse.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
depending on the circumstances.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that this movie finally got a Blu-ray release
And
in
the two
general.
other films, of course.
And the two other films as well. So you end up getting more of Todd Browning's work in here.
Yeah.
I know The Unknown had been had streamed in places like Filmstruck had it. I think that's where I watched it, or maybe on TCM on demand. I perhaps watched it on there. But The Mystic was one I had never seen. And yeah, these films range from 1925, 1932. But Freaks I rewatched it Freaks last night. Still, I think even more amazing today
It's an
than it
amazing
was
movie. Yeah. And
years
of course,
ago.
there some of the other highlights. Pandora's Box from Eureka is another one that
Right.
people really, really like.
Beautiful work on that. Yes.
Yeah, and I do want to do another personal shout out to Gold Ninja Video that put out the White Zombie release, which they cleaned that up nicely. There's been a lot of releases that
White Zombie had kind of been in a public domain hell for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Another couple of ones that I have here that I did put in the nominations for Safe in Hell, Warner Archive, doing great work.
It got part of the crop of nominees. It
did indeed. And this is a William Wellman film, a pre-code William Wellman film. William Wellman is one of the reasons why the code ended up existing in the first place.
Son of a
the
bitch.
Hays Code, because he was pushing the envelope too hard, pissing off the conservative people. But this is a great film about a woman. We won't go through all of these, but this is a great shorter film. It's about
don't get into teacher mode and start explaining the movie.
A woman ends up on an island for people who are running away from the law, essentially.
Yeah.
And then we got another one here that that's put out by Milestone, but they put Milestone through Kino, and that is Piccadilly with Anime Wong.
Nice.
This is the straight up silent film from, I believe, 1929. Somewhere, 1929. Kino, of course, put out the Anime Wong box set. So if you have the Anime Wong box set, this goes right along with it as well. Also a really good film. Don't know why they made the cover here.
I was gonna say, why is it colored?
Yeah, I don't know why they did that, because it's a very much a black and white film, as you can see a couple of the stills on the back here.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like as Steven said, the Pandora's Box from Eureka is great. Another one from Flicker Alley, Laurel and Hardy Year One, which is a collection of Laurel and Hardy short films from, I believe, the 1920s, silent era stuff. A lot of Laurel and Hardy stuff has come out over the last several years, which I'm way behind on. I think didn't Shout Factory put out like a whole box set of their stuff?
I believe so. I think it was Shout. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of good Laurel and Hardy stuff. So do you have anything else to add to the pre-code stuff?
No, that's
There's
good.
Been pre-code and other good stuff. These are just some of the highlights.
Yeah, definitely. Next category we have is the best contemporary studio release. So anything in the last 1 to 3 years came out in physical media. So, of course, like a lot of more current films got nominated. Oppenheimer is kind of a go-to, I think, for a lot. It got part of the crop of nominations as well. Nolan did he spent so much time trying to get this as best as it could be for home video, and along with the audio and everything. So it's hard not to choose this one as a contemporary choice.
If you know anything about Christopher Nolan, he loves to shoot with like IMAX cameras and all this kind. He loves to shoot on film, so of course his films look stunning, in my opinion. So yeah, this looks absolutely incredible. The movie looked amazing in the theater as well. There's this movie, of course. There's I want to say, if you want to go with something more animated, can't go with that. I'm dropping things left and right. So this looks, of course, amazing in 4K with just the colors and brightness and all of the visual spectacle that this is. This looks fantastic. John Wick Chapter 4. A lot of 80s neon in there. You know what I mean?
And it could be the last couple years, but I think most people chose more current films to go in this category. But yeah, let's move on to the next category, which is best new label. Now that some people got really ahead of themselves last year and wanted to say Radiance last year but they hadn't quite put out their first release yet until 2023. So now that we're in 2023, we can all say Radiance should definitely be one of the best new labels of
Yeah.
of the
Let me
year.
just grab every Radiance title I have. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I've got some that came in recently. Filler Up Super, a moment of romance, really beautiful film. Red Sun, which we talked about on Watch Pile recently. Well, I
Yeah.
did. I've got Miami Blues over here, Messiah of Evil, which is definitely something I'm going to talk about later. Yeah, they had a year. Like I said in our most recent episode or last episode, or maybe even our last Unwatched Pile, they put out like 36 individual releases for their first year of existence. That's including the box set stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they've Radiance. What an amazing year.
Yeah.
A couple of other ones. Buddy Black Zero.
Yeah, I was gonna say Stephen Broomer over there with Black Zero, the experimental Canadian films. He put out a few films from that this year. I think he's got more in the works. So keep an eye on Black Zero. Treasured Films.
Yes.
They put out a few other things, but this was their first release, The Last Hunter. Really nice release. They put a lot of work into this stuff. They're just a couple guys in a small town, like just putting these things together, man, and the passion's there. So them are a couple newer labels. There's also let me see. Well, of course, Janus Contemporaries technically started.
Yes. Yeah.
This
I
year.
didn't know that actually counted. I
Yeah.
didn't when I was doing my nominees. I didn't know that actually counted. Just because I'm like Janus Films has been around
It's just an
forever.
extension of Criterion. It's
Yeah. It's like Criterion Light. It's the Diet Coke of Criterion. In a way, it kind of is, but it's like I almost thought it was kind of like the old Criterion Essentials line that they did.
Yeah.
They're kind of no frills, not really restored DVDs, but of course these are modern
Blu-rays. Yeah.
that look beautiful on Blu-ray. And just in terms of like not getting a lot of features, but yeah, Janus Contemporaries, we just talked about it. EO, No Bears, Godland, of course the Lynch Oz, which is coming out this year. But I would also like to throw in Film Masters, which we've talked about several times. Neon Eagle.
Neon Eagle.
Which is, I believe, isn't that Jared Honor?
Jared Honor and Jesse
from Diabolic DVD.
Diabolic, yep. Kino Cult, that line started this year.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I mean, it's a sub line. I mean, it's
it's
kind of counts. Yeah,
kind of. Yeah, I'll count it. Why not?
Yeah. It's like we do count.
I know everybody. Yeah. Everybody gets it.
But yeah, there's tons of great new labels that seamlessly keep coming out every year. I don't know how we keep getting new. I told it when we were talking about categories and we brought up best new label, it had to be a category, but I was like, well, this category's got to become non-existent eventually, right? Like you can't be new
we would have thought
every year.
We would have thought, and then 2023 happened, and we got a bunch of new stuff.
Got a bunch more. But let's go on to the next category. Best animated release. This is not what I'm to be honest, I don't have a lot of animated stuff from this past year, but of course the Pied Piper that I believe it was Deaf Crocodile put out. Yeah.
Yes, Deaf Crocodile put out. That looks gorgeous. You have Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio put out by Criterion in 4K. Yeah, that Pied Piper movie is amazing. Like
I got the exclusive cover from backing the release.
There's no dialogue in it. It's all visuals. Yeah, you did get the Kickstarter backer one.
Yes.
I'm just gonna hold this up again just because I don't have don't have a lot of animation. I would also like to mention Cats Don't Dance, the Warner Archive release. That was a nice little fun thing. Like I said, Guillermo del Toro. I just don't buy enough animation.
I don't buy. Unfortunately, it's not something that I'm not that I'm not interested, but it's not.
This
doesn't something I spend a lot of time on.
I don't know if this counts because it's a television release, but Warner Archive did put out their Looney Tunes Collection Volume 1.
Yeah.
They also put out the Yogi Bear, that Yogi Bear movie, which I actually just ordered from Amazon. That's coming tomorrow, because I have the Hanna-Barbera Yogi Bear TV series on DVD. So I'm like, I got to
Yeah.
pair it up with that. Um, yeah, that's a whole story for a different time. But yeah, there's some things like that. I'm glad to see them still putting those out. To be honest. But yeah, let's move on to the next
Okay.
category. Seems like they
Next one we have is best martial arts release. Of course, this is a hefty category. Tons of martial arts releases come out all year long. What I want to highlight, because I just love the movie. I thought it was such a fun movie, from Cauldron Films, Shanghai Joe.
cool.
Really think this is a cool movie. I was so when I watched it for the show, and I was like, as soon as I watched it, got done watching, I was like, I am buying this as quick as possible. Such a cool movie, Western, Japanese man coming to America, and it being like that kind of fish out of water, but like Western comedy kind of action thing. It's cool. It's a cool movie. And did a great job. Great look at the artwork. It's great art. Good package. Just a great release from Cauldron. But of course, one of the big heavy hitters was of course, Bruce Lee 4K. Set from Arrow. To me, that's an easy pick.
Yeah, Bruce
I
Lee
mean,
Golden Harvest. It's like
how many times has
4K
Bruce? And
set.
it's almost like not fair, because they've released it so many times. The Bruce Lee films,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's set.
It's a great release, though. I mean,
That's gorgeous. Like I
yeah.
don't have it because I own the movies. I have the Bruce Lee set from Criterion that they put out a few years ago.
Yeah, that's what I have. Yeah.
And I have two of the movies again from the Shout Factory releases that they had put out, the Shout Select releases. Um, I also I told you I own Enter the Dragon 3 times over now. And so I mean, I've owned so much of those movies, so many of those movies, so many times. Um, but yeah, that's a gorgeous release.
Yeah.
Ones that I mentioned, um, um, you've got those Shaw Brothers classic sets
Oh yeah, yeah.
from Shout Studios. They put out like what 4 or 5 of them
4,
last
yeah,
year.
in a year, yeah.
Yeah, they put out like 4 that were like, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, but then they put out one that was just like a specific type of Shaw Brothers
Yeah.
films. So they put out a bunch of Shaw Brothers stuff. The Street Fighter trilogy from Arrow Video is another one that I really like. And Police Story 3, Super Cop from
Oh
88
yeah.
Films, a 4K UHD release of that. That movie had kind of been in like not obscurity, but just put out in like bad editions, specifically here in the US and Region A land for a very long time. To get that here was kind of a revelation, really, in my opinion. So yeah, and then you even had those In the Line of Duty box set from '88. You had the In the Line of Duty individual releases that were put
Yeah.
out by Eureka, which actually had better special features than the '88 Films ones. But the '88 Films one had a cool box. It was one of those things where
I
it's like,
got that.
which
I
one
got
you
that one.
want?
I got that
Yeah,
one.
I still got to get the individual Eureka ones because I just like having more features, I guess.
Yeah.
But so yeah, a lot of explosion of martial arts
And
stuff over the last few years.
and
Everybody's putting them out.
don't forget 4K of Bloodsport.
Oh yes, yes. Is that the Jean-Claude Van Damme?
That was me. Yeah, that was
No,
me doing
okay,
Van Damme. Yeah.
nice. Do the split, Steven.
I can't show that on camera.
Yeah, I guess
I'm
not.
not trying that. So,
I guess not.
but yeah, let's
Next
move on.
next category.
Yeah, horror release, of course, another hefty category. Tons of options.
I know, gee.
God,
It's
I
like
don't,
literally
dude.
pick your
I mean, there's just so many. I don't want to get. I'm not going to say all of them. I mean, I'm going to say some of them. I'm not going to show all of them because some of them are
gotcha.
going to. But of course, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4K from Second Sight. It's
Boom.
great.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right here on my couch because I have no shelf space to put this in my horror section whatsoever. I
Yeah.
even took out my old DVD or old Blu-ray of it to create space, and the Blu-ray was like this big. so
Yeah.
so you got this bad boy. Of course, Steven, I know you like the Martin release as well.
Martin release from Second Sight as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that down here too. They decided to go with similar Yeah, gravity is really killing me here. Everything's kind of falling. So this is the Martin release, which I believe I did a little review of this when it came out. George A. Romero's favorite film of his filmography, actually. So that's really cool. What other some of the other horror movies?
Here's another one here. I got another Cauldron film release. Their 4K of City of the Living Dead, which of course has gotten a lot of releases, but this particular release is great. I love the box on this, the slip box. It's got glossy tears of blood going down her face. Look at that. You can see it shine. Just amazing artwork. Great release. Great. Just, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't try these other releases of this movie coming out, but this release is pretty premium. You don't really, you get this, you don't need anything else. Another one that didn't get mentioned in the nomination crop, the whip in the body from 88 Films. Christopher Lee, there you go. Probably watched this one this past year. Part of your Christopher Lee watching.
Probably.
Yeah. You know, really, really nice addition. Looks fantastic. Yeah. Whipping the body. I think that's, I mean,
Yeah.
other than the ones that are already mentioned a lot.
I didn't even matter. What am I doing here? Messiah of Evil. Radiance. We were talking about Radiance earlier. Here they are again. So we got this release here, this kind of culty 70s film. This is I guess the limited edition version of this. Really great release. I saw a lot of people buying this and a lot of people showing it off in their videos and whatnot. We also have some other the Ginger Snaps trilogy release from Second Sight. It Follows from Second Sight as well.
Just Second Sight.
Just Second Sight in general.
Everything in Second Sight.
Yeah.
That's because I can't. I got a bone to pick with one bone to pick. I got to pick with Ryan. You know, he did do some changing around of the categories because I wasn't there to argue with him.
What'd you do?
No. He added some stuff and then he took away one category that I initially had a bunch of release ideas for, and that's the comedy release category. We did that last year, and we didn't have the comedy release category this year. So I'm gonna have to throw this into the horror section, I guess, and that's Private Parts.
Like very, very macabre. Very grotesque.
I mean, it's definitely can fit into both categories, but it's a
horror comedy. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, I mean, but I was going to put it in the comedies. But this is an awesome movie. I really enjoyed this. Paul Bartel, Eating Raoul is kind of his main title that people know from. It's in the Criterion Collection. Really cool movie. Kind of like inspiration for like a lot of things like that. One season of American Horror Story is like this movie. That hotel season. It feels like this movie. So it's a cool movie.
Yeah, weird things happening in a hotel is kind of the basic premise of that movie.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, definitely dig it. I mean, and of course there's so much more we could cover. The Wicker Man from Studio Canal Wicker Man got another release. That thing looks gorgeous.
There's so many horror releases that come out that we could just keep going and going, but them are some of our favorites. The next category, find my page here. Documentary release. This was one of the newer categories. I think this is a good one. There's a lot of good documentaries that get released every year. One of the big ones, of course, we talked about Canadian International Pictures. This guy right here.
Hold on, I have to go back. Oh yeah, the Gun of Satake.
Yes.
Yeah, I just ordered that during their subscriber week because it was the limited edition was going out of print. So you know me, I see those numbers dwindle. I got to jump on it.
Yeah, it's a very important story about Native Americans in Canada trying to make sure that they don't lose their land because somebody wants to build a golf course.
Yes. The all important golf course.
Because we need more golf courses.
We're exactly what we need. All right. Speaking of staying with the Canadian International Pictures, Hitman Heart, Wrestling with Shadows, great documentary. Yeah. Beautiful artwork on this front, back. Bret the Hitman Hart was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up in the 90s, watching
definitely
WWF/WWE. This also has a bunch of great special features on it as well. Really, really good release.
You got this guy right here. How to Build a Time Machine.
Yes, that movie
God,
is so beautiful.
this movie's so beautiful, and it was so unexpected. Like I did
Yeah.
not know where this movie was going to go, and it just I was like this can't, like you get the premise and you're like, the guy's building a time machine and you're like, where's this going to go? Is this going to get nerdy? Is this going to get nerdy? Or is it? No, it's just a beautiful movie about like kind of like the passage of time. Talking about, I know you love this movie just because that's all you like to talk about is time.
Is time really? Yeah,
Essentially, every beginning of this show, you're like, it's like it was just yesterday, or like
I know.
it feels like we were
That's
just
what happens when you get older. You get very sentimental about the passage of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Christopher Nolan, clearly best friends.
Yeah, best friends.
When he wins an Oscar, we all win an Oscar, I guess.
Well, I'm gonna wear my shirt. I have a shirt that I'm waiting for the night he wins, that says "In Nolan We Trust" on it. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great documentary. So some other any other documentaries?
I mean, there's a lot. There are a lot of good ones. I don't have any other. Let's see. We got Freak Scene, the story of Dr. Dinosaur Jr. Utopia put out, and I see all the Criterion put out the David Bowie.
Yeah, Moon Age Daydream.
Yeah.
It was actually David Bowie's birthday yesterday, or the day before. So. Days are starting to run together, and someone had a like a cardboard standee of like Moon Age Daydream that they put up like a memorial, I believe, on his like star on the Walk of Fame in Los Angeles. Moon Age Daydream, what a dreamy film. That 4K was put out by Criterion for anyone interested. I think you can watch it on the Criterion channel for those of you interested as well. But yeah, let's move on to the next category.
Well, the next couple ones we'll just be like, these are more technical categories. The audio video presentation, which is very, it's tough. I mean, that's more of a, I wouldn't say it's subjective, but it's like the technology for these releases are so great. A lot of things are good,
Well, it's also for those things, it's kind of tough to judge that depending on your personal home entertainment setup.
Yeah, and your home, your setup. Yeah. So I mean, essentially, most things that were nominated and most things that are deserving are things that are newer and things that are have had a lot of time put into them. Like Titanic got audio presentation.
James Cameron.
Yeah. Oppenheimer. Texas Chainsaw Massacre got The Exorcist 4K. And a lot of similar things like that. Video presentation. One that got nominated that I'm happy is the 4K for From Beyond, from Vinegar Syndrome.
I forgot that had come out last year.
Yeah.
What a visual treat of a movie. A lot of gooiness in there.
one that didn't get nominated that I'm a little upset about is Arrow's release of Hugo.
Oh, you read my mind.
Yeah, because I thought that I watched this 4K.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this looks fucking good.
Yeah, I was like, the movie was, I believe it's the only movie that Scorsese has shot digitally, I think. Yeah. Don't quote me on that. Because at the time, he had originally done it in 3D.
Yeah.
And the only way you could get 3D, I think, was shooting digitally. There is a...
Matt Miller says hi. Hi, Matt.
I'll say, is the 3D version on here as well? There is a 3D version of the movie on here.
Yeah.
I had only had the 3D edition of this, and then of course this is 4K.
Yeah.
4K looks amazing.
It looks stunning, dude. I was like, when I got this and I watched this, like I already wrote the note down. I was like, this is the best video presentation. Looks amazing. A little annoyed that it didn't get part of the crop of nominations, but of course I typed it in, I believe. So.
Did you do that?
The ones that I feel strongly about, I do write-ins. That's what everybody should do, because that's an option, and you should do that when you're voting.
if you so choose to. Another one for me, I guess we'll stay on the Scorsese love train here. Main Street's in 4K.
Oh yeah.
So there's this edition that came out from Criterion, and then there's an edition coming out from Second Sight as well. I think both are going to have very similar video presentation. I think they may be done from the same master. But I thought that this looked absolutely incredible. I think this is actually the first time that Scorsese has kind of approved or looked over or worked on a home video presentation of the way he wants the movie to look visually.
Yeah.
I believe I read that somewhere. So the old Blu-rays that have been out, the old DVDs have been out, but I guess weren't really done with his input. And of course, they don't look anywhere near as good by comparison with this. The Dolby Vision in this looks very, very good. This, of course, a darker, grittier, grainier film because, it's Scorsese in the 70s. I think all movies from the 70s look grainy. I think that's just the grit and the grime the way it was back then with the film and stuff. But yeah, I thought this looked incredible.
Yeah.
And of course
Awesome.
you got the modern stuff like we said with Oppenheimer and things like that. I know a lot of people really like Barbarella. I saw that on a lot of best of lists for people. Um, and things like that. Blood and Black Lace from Arrow Video in 4K as well. A little giallo action, of course. That's always going to be a visual treat. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that
Yeah.
4K set that I was just showing off. Um, that's a. I mean, you can't make that movie look much better than you already are.
Yeah.
It's a 16-bit 16 millimeter movie. Film from the 1970s. It can't. I think we reached it, Steven. I think we've
It's
got it.
the peak. Yeah. I
we
don't think
got
you
we got
need to
the
buy
peak.
that movie again.
Um, yeah, I just don't think. I think this is it. I think this may be it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the next category, Steven?
Next category, one of my favorites, best home video restoration upgrade. So something that has in the past has had not great releases, and it's getting kind of the biggest bump from the last release it's gotten. Yeah, this is one of my favorite. So essentially things that you've just been waiting to get a Blu-ray or 4K upgrade that it really took the quality of the last release up a notch. Of course, the Todd Browning Freaks is a big deal. That one's a kind of a go-to. The other thing I thought about was the indicator set of the Michael J. Murphy. I mean, that whole thing is like a rescuing job. I mean,
Yeah,
you should just
those things were on.
talk to Michael Brook. He'll tell you how painstaking that release was. Yeah, that is a rescue job all on its own.
Yeah, because though if you just a little, not even a little backstory, like some of those movies were on like VHS tapes that
they were
had
on
in his
video.
home.
They were
Michael J.
they
Murphy's
were.
home. You know what I
He
mean?
was videoing him with a camera. He was using a camera to video the screen of him showing the movie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
unreal, a really unreal work and
Yeah.
job. For me, I kind of went Criterion heavy on this one. Obviously, the Todd Browning one, Todd Browning's Freaks, we talked about. This entire release is incredible. After Hours went from
Yeah.
DVD to 4K, which is, a hell of an upgrade in and of itself. So this is, of course, more Scorsese. What a Scorsese heavy year there was. For me personally, Orson Welles' The Trial. There had been a Blu-ray of this years ago. There had been a 4K, I think, released in the UK as well. Stephen, if I remember.
Yeah, I have the 4K from Studio Canal. Yeah.
Studio Canal. This movie we had championed years ago went back on Cinema Discovery Project. The Watermelon Woman finally got some type of release.
Yeah.
This I don't even think this had a DVD release, and we finally got it on Blu-ray. Amazing, fantastic independent movie from the 90s, from Cheryl Dunye. Really fantastic at this. This got a release, and of course, Target's finally got a Blu-ray release as well from the late great Peter Bogdanovich. Whether you get this release or I believe did the BFI put it out in the UK?
They're supposed to. I don't know if it.
They're supposed to.
I think it's. I don't know if it released yet or not, but
I
know it's supposed to still happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out in September of 2023.
Okay.
And it was put out by the BFI Video. Yes.
Yeah.
So whether you get that release or whether you get this release, it's just nice to have this on Blu-ray and HD quality, because I think the only way it was available before was on a DVD that's been long out of print. So finally got Targets. Really
awesome.
Really awesome year. Let's see. Party Girl from Fun City was another one.
Yeah.
I got it. I have it over there. I have a whole Fun City pile over there.
Honey's worried us. She says she hasn't seen us drink any water since we started it. I've been sipping on my tea.
I've got water here.
Yeah, I've been sipping on my tea. So I've
me,
been getting it in.
It does affect you after a while. You are right.
But yeah, there's a lot of great a lot of great upgrades.
Yeah, like I said, when Party Girl was announced, we had Steven, who's over at Fun City? Jonathan Hertzberg, right?
Jonathan Hertzberg, yeah.
Jonathan Hertzberg, yeah. We had him on for that announcement because that was kind of the first one, first release of his that was done outside of the partner label realm. And I believe I thanked him for finally putting Party Girl in the correct aspect ratio because it had been streaming on Prime Video, but in the wrong aspect ratio, and that stuff just bothered the heck out of me. So Party Girl, Parker Posey has a whole collection of her stuff streaming on the Criterion channel right now. Get on that if you love Parker Posey. But yeah, there really is so much to go through. So Messiah of Evil from Radiance is another one.
Yeah. Next category, best packaging design. Now we're talking about the quality of the package, the box, the book, and how it functions, how it enhances the release, how it makes you, it takes you into the world of what you're about to watch and listen to. The one to me that, there's a few of them that I really like. Let's see. The main one for me.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't quite familiar, Steven is a box set fiend.
I'm a box set fiend. So when it comes to the box set stuff, I'll have a lot of them. But the Black Manuel set is, to me, one of the best sets of the year, one of the best design sets of the year.
Look at the thickness
pinwheel of that thing here, is just an added touch that just makes it awesome. And it's a thick thing. Look at that book. The book here, it's huge. It's a great package. It's got that kind of the Alfred Hitchcock collection style inner thing with the book
with the
sleeves, and it's got the artwork on all the pages for all the movies. It's a great set. A lot of other ones. I think another one of the other great fun ones, of course, is the Arrow video.
That was the one I was going to hold up myself.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
It's
got a sleeve for the box set. Come on. A sleeve for the box set.
I think our buddy Scott Saslow worked on this design.
Yeah. And just a great design.
And then of course it comes out on top and you've got all the whole titles here. They've since re-released this in a standard edition, which has the same artwork, but it's just the movies like literally in a box.
Yeah,
that has the same art. Not as cool as this, obviously.
Not as cool as that, but there's still it's a cool collection of films. It's
right on.
Yeah. So
it's got the Dungeon Master, Dolls, Cellar Dweller, Arena, and Robot Jocks.
Yeah.
I believe
a couple Stuart Gordon films in there. So yeah.
Yeah, of course. Stephen, what was the official title of this? Oh yeah, Enter the Video Store.
Yeah.
Empire of Screams. All about Empire. That company Empire in the 80s that put out like Reanimator and stuff like that. Do your whole research on it. They were only around for like a decade, not even. I don't even think they lasted all the way into the 90s. But they put out a lot of these cult 80s horror films that look really, really good in this edition. A couple of other ones that I just want to make mention of. Universal Noir #2 from Indicator. All of the box sets from Indicator are solid as a rock, really.
Yeah,
Steven has collected so many of them. I've collected so many of them. The Noir box sets really put them on the map as well. And now they've ventured from Columbia over to Universal Studio stuff. Violent Streets, the Umberto Lenzi and Thomas Milan collection from Severin.
Yeah, Horror Honey says the Femme Fatale, the Fatal Fatale. Actually, I have right here.
Oh, that's the one from Fun City.
Yeah,
Fun City. I gotta catch up on Fun City.
Another one here. I got the Psycho set.
Oh, very cool.
really cool set. It's got the shower curtain that comes off with the slip here. So really nice design. Arrow does a really good job this year with their sets. They kind of them and Severin go back and forth for me.
Yeah.
But
I know, Stephen, you also have the Walter Hill set
I do.
from Imprint. Those sets obviously are notorious for being well constructed. Having the this is another set from Imprint. This is the Jessica Lange set, but you know how it goes. Top off, solid construction. So very, very good stuff.
A lot of good stuff there. Could go on and on. But next category. Now these, I don't know if we want to go too. Let's probably won't go too deep because these are very technical. We're getting to the very niche stuff, which is like your visual essays, your interviews, stuff we can't visually represent to you right now. These are special features, of course, on discs. So we can just kind of mention some ones off of some discs that we really like. One that stands out to me.
Which category is it? Visual essays?
Let's do visual essay first.
Okay.
I brought this one actually got through, and I was so happy to see this get to the crop of nominees, and that is the visual essay by Robert Payne from the Alternate Innocence release of The Wounded Man. He did a visual essay called "The Paradox of Queer Visibility." So it's a really fascinating visual essay. That film is just so fascinating. I really enjoyed that movie.
I still need to get it.
You do.
I hate myself. It's down to like 100 and something copies.
Yeah.
So I really need to get my hands on it relatively soon. But yeah, alternate Innocence, that release of The Wounded Man, that visual essay is probably fantastic.
Yeah.
One that I want to bring up is the one that Kat Ellinger did for Messiah of Evil. Just because it's Kat Ellinger and anything she does is pretty much worth checking out.
Oh yeah.
I thing is I should have remembered what the names of these are. I forgot that these actually have titles. I think it's called American Gothic and Female Hysteria.
That's it.
Yes, that's what it's called.
That's it.
On Messiah of Evil.
But yeah, there's a ton of them. There's a ton of them to bring up.
Alexandra Helen Nicholas did one for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre release.
Oh yeah.
And once again, I feel like Kat Ellinger and Alexandra Helen Nicholas, you can't go wrong with their work or what they're doing on anything. So, and the amount of special features in this thing is kind of unreal in general. So I know so many people worked their ass off on this.
Most definitely.
Do you have anything else, Stephen?
Now let's go over to the interviews.
Okay.
Another hefty category, of course. Let's see. How about? I mean, for me, none of the things I nominated were put in there.
No.
The one I want to bring up is there's an interview with the actress Laura Gimser on the Black Emanuel that was really good. You just get a lot of insight and it's an audio interview, but it's still really good. It's called I Am Your Black Queen. But yeah, there's any that you want to bring up?
Yeah, I wanted to shout out, one of our earlier guests was Justin Beam from Reverend Entertainment, and he worked on the special features for this, including the interviews that went into this release here, which is the JFK 4K UHD release from Shout Studios. And I remember him posting about on his social media of getting to interview like Oliver Stone and doing all those cool things. An incredible interview that we did with Justin Beam, coincidentally, way back when. Just getting into his work and just all the rather interesting people that he's gotten to interview and work with over his time. Check out Reverend Entertainment, check out his website. He has a list of all the credits there. But this was one that I definitely wanted to mention.
Awesome. Let's move over to commentaries. These are always really fun too. A lot of good commentaries. The Fatal Games with Amanda Reyes and Bill Ackerman is a big one. Picnic. There's one. I don't have the name here, but Amanda Reyes and Bill Ackerman doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre
I was
was a
just
big
gonna say,
one.
Texas, you see them on there. Alexander Helen Nicholas and Josh Nelson, that
Yeah.
dynamic duo of commentating,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
did one for Picnic at Hanging Rock, the second site release, which I
Yes.
feel is such an underrated release. I remember when we talked about it when it was announced, and then it kind of came and went. A beautiful artwork on that one, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's very interesting. There's one that got nominated here was the Sam Deegan Zero Women Red Handcuffs Neon Eagle release. That one was interesting. I had a Kat Ellinger release. Yeah, Kat Ellinger did one for one of the four classic, the Savage Guns, four classic westerns.
Yeah.
I believe she did the Lucio Fulci film that's in that box set. She did a commentary for that,
Yeah.
which makes me want to get that set even more. I got to get those spaghetti western sets from Arrow. You got anything else, Steven?
Now let's move on to newly written essays. So the one, I don't think any of mine got put through. There was one that Heather Drain did in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre booklet that I really enjoyed, and one that John Towland did on the Martin release that I really enjoyed. So, but the
Yeah,
ones, go
I
ahead.
oh no, yeah, I hear you. Ones that I remember, the Pandora's Box from Eureka had one by Alexandra Helen Nicholas. Um, I believe you. I mean, if you need any type of reference as to the writing quality of Alexandra Helen Nicholas, Stephen has one of her books.
I
So,
do, I
yeah,
do.
yeah,
I can't reach it right now, but it's
yeah.
sitting over there.
It's sitting over there. We had an interview that was with her that was going incredibly well, and then
It
technical
got somewhat
difficulties
cut short before we could talk about the
got
book.
cut short because of inclement weather was affecting internet issues and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But
yeah,
a wonder of a person, fascinating mind. A couple of another one that I want to make mention of is State of the Union from Indicator. Was there was an essay written in there by our friend Raquel Stetcher, who we had the
yeah.
honor of interviewing as well. Very nice to see her work show up in that. A TCM fan and someone who I've been following many years when it comes to learning about classic cinema and all those things, especially her book collection and things like that, and just a great person. Another one was Crimes of the Future from Second Sight. Rich Johnson, our buddy Rich Johnson,
Yeah, Rich.
did some writing for that as well. He writes on a lot of things in general. Um, very cool guy. He showed up on our 100th episode special extravaganza we had. I think he was our first guest on there.
He
He
was.
was
He
here
was.
before we even started.
I know. I was like, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah, a super nice guy. He always when I post on Twitter about sharing our podcast episode he always likes the post and whatnot. So he's super supportive guy. Check
Yes.
out his work and whatnot. So yeah, that's the ones I mentioned.
Awesome. Always tons of that's it's the most probably the most neglected thing in any of these physical media releases. I think is the booklets.
Mm.
Probably get a little neglected because we want to put the things in the player, watch the features, but sometimes in booklets I think get neglected. So that's take some time, read your
Yeah,
booklets.
we don't really see the credits as well. You know what I mean? In terms of because it was actually tough trying to find.
Man, usually the booklets say who wrote the
Well, I meant
essays.
but I mean online. Like if I wanted to
Well,
find
not online,
yeah,
but
I wanted to
yeah.
find somebody's work. I had to do some digging in terms of finding Kat Ellinger, finding Alexander Helen Nicholas, finding our buddy Rich Johnson.
Just buy the releases, damn
Yeah,
it.
thank you, Steven. But then, but even on the releases, they maybe they don't really put them, front and center.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? You gotta get in the booklet and gotta
It's
gotta
okay.
look for the credits.
It's all right.
That's extra steps, extra work. But anywho, next
Come on, man.
category. Next category.
Next category, best annual slate. One of the most uh,
Hotly.
hotly debated categories for me because I kind of find
Really?
it redundant. But it's okay. It's okay because to me, it's all right. I know it's everybody looks at their collections differently. This particular category, it kind of wants you to focus more on the films. Like when you're looking at a slate of films for the year from from a particular label, which one stood out? Which label stood out to you the most? I think Criterion's always kind of a top notch. What they're releasing is always pretty high up there. Radiance, of course, their first year they knocked it out of the park. I think that they Kino puts out so much. It's hard not to put Kino
Kino's
in
had
there.
a year.
Yeah.
Kino's had a big bold year with their 4Ks, especially the 4Ks of like the Train. And one that I picked up recently was Thunderbolt and Lightfoot.
Yeah.
Beautiful release. I mean, we just talked about earlier how they're putting out, 2 William Friedkin films this year. Speaking of William Friedkin, To Live and Die in L.A. was a very, very hot release that I know a lot of people bought. It's tough to find that release now with the slipcover. That's the one thing with Kino releases. The once the slipcover is gone, they get very expensive to find online. And so they had a hell of a release. They put out that Columbo set, which looks great, even though they had some extras issues, special features issues. Apparently the quality of that looks fantastic. I know it's more TV than movies, but still quality release.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned, I would say Severin, Vinegar Syndrome, our usual friends in that regard. Even Indicator, I think had a solid year.
Indicator, yeah. I mean, they continue to push just interesting cinema.
I mean, they're launching a 4Ks was really
their 4Ks launching with all the Jean Roland stuff.
I might as well bring these out. The Jean Roland 4Ks that I got for Christmas because I had a Jean Roland Christmas, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing says holiday season like vampires, blood, and gratuitous nudity, I guess.
Horror Honey's leaving us. She's going to go watch some movies. Thank you for sticking with us. She's
awesome.
going to
Thanks for watching.
Watch the rest tomorrow. So great. Thank you. So many good. I mean, we could just name all. We don't complain.
Yeah, Arrow Video as well.
We don't complain.
Arrow Video always has a solid slate.
It comes down to just personal preference more than anything.
Yeah, it really comes down to what you collect from whom. Really,
it really. So, next category: steelbooks. Best steelbooks, another new category for this year. I'm not really a steelbook collector. I know a lot of people love them. Of course, the crop's going to get smaller with Best Buy closing.
So they're exclusive steelbooks.
Yeah. But the one I put in was the Warm Bodies steelbook. I thought was really. I own it. It's one of the only ones I bought this year, and I really enjoy that. It's a really nice steelbook visually. The art is great. But some of the other ones that have been nominated, The Mist got a steelbook. I did get the 4K for that, but not the steelbook version.
I do have the 4K of that as well.
Yeah. Point Break also got a steelbook. I got the 4K for that, not the steelbook version.
My Best Buy still has one copy left of the Point Break, not the steelbook, but the regular edition. Oh, I went there. I just touched it. The disc is loose and it's rattling like a maraca. And I was like, "Yep, that's." I
was about to be like, "Why are you just touching stuff?"
I have this at a store. You gotta check the quality,
But yeah, I mean, there's the Wicker Man got 4K steelbook releases and some nice artwork.
This one I put kind of out of spite because I wanted to get it and I never did because my Best Buy just didn't really. Well, they had it and then it sold out very quickly. The John Wick Chapter 4 Best Buy exclusive steelbook because I have the ones for the first 3 films, so I will not buy that movie until I find that specific edition because I'm that OCD about it.
Yes, you are.
Unfortunately, eBay it's like $50 to $70 for them, and I'm like, this is wild. What would Keanu Reeves think? People scalping stuff. I know the Fugitive 4K UHD release steelbook from Best Buy. The cover art looked much better than the regular edition release that Warner Brothers put out.
Yeah.
Because that's still just very off-putting. I'm not yet again. I used to be big into steelbooks, not so much over the past several years. So moving on from there,
awesome.
I would say.
My favorite category, best box set.
Oh,
I've already showed off most of them.
I know.
To me, most of the best box sets we've already showed off. The Arrow video store set, the Psycho set, the Black Emmanuel set. One that I'm going to bring up that I think has just criminally been overlooked for this year.
Yeah, here it comes. Boom.
The Lucas Moodysson set. that
Yeah,
came out way back in
this came
January.
out in January of 2023, and
Yes.
this honestly set the precedent for me personally as a
Yeah.
collector as what I wanted box sets to be for the rest of the year. Like
Yeah.
it set the bar so damn high, so damn high. Look at it; it's got heft to it too. This
Oh,
is
this
heavy.
thing is you could knock out your neighbor with this
Yeah,
thing.
you could use
Um,
this as a
yeah.
weapon. It's hefty. It's got tons of films in here, all in the sleeves. Everything's well protected. The book is it's a thick booklet in here as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful cover art. I believe
Ton
this was also worked on by our buddy Scott Saslow as well.
yeah, tons of features with the director in this as well. His thoughts on his films and most of, and I'd say about every film in here is great. I
Yeah,
mean, like that's
very
the good
very
thing
good.
too is like a lot of good films. Specifically, um, I mean, fucking Amel is kind of really great.
Yeah. Oh,
Lilia Forever. That
yeah,
movie's rough.
dark. Yeah,
Movie's rough.
I'll send you down a sad place. You feel really sad after watching that movie. It's one
Yeah,
of those movies where afterward you need something to off balance yourself. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
You need to watch We Are the Best.
Yeah, I'll say this is the book. It's a hard book
Yeah, yeah.
plus an extra booklet. They went really all out with this set. Um,
Yeah,
and it kind of got like Steven said, it kind of got lost as the year went on because it came out in January.
yeah,
You know, but for me, it was something I think I got for my birthday. That's how much I wanted it.
yeah.
My birthday being in June, so I had to wait like 6 months. Agony, if you will. But yeah, just a really fantastic set. Can't say enough about it.
Yeah, it's to me it was I know I'm spoiling it, but it's maybe my favorite release of the year.
Yeah, I feel
This
you
is
on that
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Another couple of box sets here, renowned westerns from put out by Criterion. These are the westerns by Bud Bedecker, starring Randolph Scott. This is a 4K box set from Criterion. I believe, I think it's the only 4K box set they've put out. I want to remember, perhaps.
yeah,
They also put out the Pasolini 101 box set, which ever evades me because I just can't bring myself to buy it. I don't know why.
yeah.
One day I will. It will be mine. But this set here, they went back to the old, like, fold out method of box setting, which they haven't really done. They've gone with the thin packs. They've gone with the ones they did for Godzilla, where you got the discs in the little holder areas, which not really the best way to do it. A couple of other box sets here. You've got Small Axe. I think Small
Yeah,
Axe counts as a box
yeah,
set.
yeah,
It's the Steve McQueen movies that he did on Blu-ray. Really nice cover art. Very very compact. Very compact. Like I mentioned earlier, the imprint doing their line of actor centric film focus sets, doing their director focus sets with Sidney J. Murphy, Sidney Lumet, Walter Hill. Um, uh, yeah, they've done so many beautiful sets like that. So many
this one
gorgeous
right
box sets.
here, I want to shout out from Mondo Macabro, the Bollywood horror set. This was a trying set for them to put out, and they got it out, and it was well worth the wait. I mean, it's a lot of cool films in here.
Mhm.
They take a while to watch. These are all very long movies. They don't make short movies over there. But there's some cool movies in here, and really great set from Mondo Macabro there.
Yeah, we mentioned the Michael J. Murphy set,
Yeah.
the Enter the Video Store set. We mentioned,
What was the one they did the Osmond
yeah,
family?
yeah.
Yeah,
What
that's another
is,
one.
yeah, Steven, did you end up getting, um, what's that other set? Um,
The Todd Slaughter
Todd
set.
Slaughter. Yeah.
It's in the mail actually. It's
Oh,
coming.
okay.
It's on the way. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the Todd Slaughter set's
The Todd
coming in.
Slaughter set, the Coffin
Criminal.
Joe set from
Well,
Arrow,
that just came out.
which I know, which you did a review for it for the channel.
Yeah. Not a review, but an unboxing. But
Right.
but that's 2024. So,
Is that 2024?
yeah,
What a
it's not even
what a weird time
technically
to
it
be
didn't come
alive.
out till next week.
Oh, oh, didn't even know that.
I got
Sneaky,
it early.
sneaky. Yeah, the Black Emmanuel set. Um,
Well, there's
Hellraiser,
the Hellraiser set.
yeah,
Severin
from
put out a few, great
of course they
sets.
did. I mentioned the Violent Streets. That's another Umberto Lenzi box set. They also put out a Peter Cushing box set. Severin did. Um, yeah, so much
This
stuff.
Indicator box set right here.
There it is,
Yeah,
Mexico Macabre. I was
yeah,
looking for that.
another great
Um,
one in there.
that's
One
a
of my
really solid one. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
really,
So
so
let's
many
calm
stuff.
down and move on.
I know we get a box set excited around here.
Well,
I'm telling you.
best artwork is another one I really like to talk about. Another Severin box set. This one right here, just so
That's the other
beautiful.
one. That's the other side of the coin,
Yeah.
between the Mexico Macabre from Indicator and then the Severin Danza Macabre
Yeah.
from Severin. Those kind of go hand in hand with one another.
Yeah.
They came out around the same time too.
Yeah. And of course, that Umberto Lenzi set too. The artwork here is amazing as well. Just the work that's done on this is amazing. Also, I don't know why I like the From Beyond artwork on here. It's really weird and chaotic.
Yes. Of course, we have the Bruce Lee Golden Harvest.
Oh
That
yeah,
box set work was done by Tony Stella.
yeah.
Tony,
their videos cool.
yeah. The Pandora's box that we've mentioned several times from Eureka, that was also done by Tony Stella. Oh, I'll bring this out again. Mean Streets. Mean Streets from Criterion, which was done by Sister Hyde. And of course, we have After Hours, which was also done by Sister Hyde, who we had as a guest on well early on in our show's history. We also have the Cosa Nostra, the Franco Nero, Three Mafia Tales, the Radiance box set. I really like that cover art.
Yeah.
I really like that. I dig that cover art a lot. That was done by Scott Zaslow. Yeah, they have really cool cover art on a lot of their Radiance box sets as well. So yeah, so much awesome stuff. Anything done by Second Sight, their box art is incredibly beautiful.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So yeah, even
right.
yeah, move on.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got 6 more to do, so let's get it's getting late. 20th category, best studio category release, catalog release. So something that a studio put out that's like an older release, prior to 2020. Cool Hand Luke, you brought up earlier, I believe.
I did not, but
or did
you can bring that up now. Way to go.
My bad.
I've got. Okay,
the Joel 4K release is a big one. For
yeah,
me.
Titanic, of course, James Cameron. That 4K release, a lot of people bought that. They bought the super deluxe expensive edition too. The Alfred Hitchcock Classics collection. Put out by Universal. This is their volume 3. Yeah, they all finally, those movies are giving the beautiful the presentations they deserve, because like I've mentioned, those old Blu-rays that were put out over a decade ago did them a disservice, in my opinion. So we finally got that. I do have Cool Hand Luke 4K, and it does look amazing. Yeah, I even have the Rebel Without a Cause 4K, which also looks really fantastic as well. I have I heard the Maltese Falcon 4K as well. Looks really, really good. That was a movie that needed it, because I think that Blu-ray had come out well over a decade ago from Warner Brothers. So those all kind of needed, those catalog titles needed those re-releases. The Mist, I think, was another one. That was another old Blu-ray release that needed something like a remaster. So I know, Steven, you got the regular edition. I believe I did as well. So that's really, really cool. What else did I added one more in here. Oh, The Lost Boys. That Blu-ray, that 4K, I mean, looks fantastic from Warner Brothers. I gave it a rewatch, I think during like October or something like that. I rebought it and rewatched it. Looks incredible. Really, really incredible. Yet again, an old Blu-ray needed a remaster or re-release. So yeah, that's it for me.
All right. Well, a lot of what's left is essentially the categories that are left: best Region B, Region A releases.
We kind of covered.
We've said so many different things that ultimately we've kind of given you a nice crop of what we would say in these categories. The only other category that's kind of an outlier is best single or double feature release, which is a new category.
Yes.
There's been a couple double features. I think when I voted, I specifically went for double features.
Same here. Same here.
One I like is the Eloy de Iglesias double feature here of the Urban Dreams, the two homosexual films by Eloy de Iglesias. You got Hidden Pleasures and Confessions of a Congressman, and he's a director I really love. So this is a good double feature here. What do you got over there?
I've got one here. Hold on, let me get back over to you. The Last Picture Show, but it comes with Texasville, which is the sequel to The Last Picture Show. And the original 4K of this, which was put out by Sony, did not have Texasville. The one that was in like their big, you know, 4K sets with all the essentials and whatnot. So that was what the big difference between that edition and this edition is. I believe that Texasville is only available in like the regular HD, but still, it's just to get the movie in HD quality in of itself is kind of fantastic. So yeah, obviously, Last Picture Show by Peter Bogdanovich. Quite honestly, one of the best movies I've ever seen ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to shout out this release as a definitely a double feature.
Most definitely. So then we have best region A and region B label. Of course, not really a reason to go over that. There's tons of great
best region A release. I mean,
label.
Oh, your label. Okay.
I mean, like they're all good. I mean, what do you say? My favorite label of region A was probably, I don't know, probably Severin. Severin was maybe one of my favorites this year, and then region B, Indicator or Second Sight, probably two of my favorites. What about you? What would you say? I mean,
definitely region B. The most I bought of was probably Radiance because I tried to get all their releases. Still am trying. Obviously Eureka was always solid with their stuff.
Yeah.
Arrow is both region A and region B as far as I'm concerned. They drift back and forth so much that they're both in both areas. And then region A, honestly, a lot of the partner labels from Vinegar Syndrome would fall in that category.
Yeah.
Canadian International Pictures, Altered Innocence, Deaf Crocodile, Agfa puts out very unique stuff. A lot of that their things. Kino, of course. Come on, they put out so much cool shit. Severin, so much unique stuff. Their box sets are second to none. So it's the usual stuff we've talked about already so far.
Well,
so do you want to go to?
I was just going to say best overall release, which is like the best picture. We've probably named a bunch of them.
Yes.
So we both kind of agree. Lucas Moodyson's probably one of our top releases of the year.
Most definitely.
One of the ones I'll shout. There's a couple other ones I'll shout out that I really like that hasn't really been mentioned yet. From Eureka, Samurai Reincarnation. Really, this was a discovery for me as a film, and I really love this film. And this release is really nice too. Nice slip cover, good 2K restoration on this. And Tony Mess has a commentary on here. Samurai Fictions, an appreciation of the director in this is really nice. Really good release. And then another one from Severin is their the last horror movie or last horror film release.
Oh wow, I completely forgot about that movie.
One of the great releases of the year,
aka Maniac 2.
Yeah.
It's the last starring movie from what's his name, Steven, from Maniac.
I'm not good with names.
Okay, let me
Joe Spinell.
Joe Spinell, yes, I believe that was his last starring role was in that movie. Really good film. The usual ones that we've talked about so far. I think the double whammy from Second Sight of both Texas Chainsaw and Martin, like these two here, really set the bar pretty high. I think in terms of quality and just presentation in general. I mean, we had been talking about this release for like a year or maybe even longer. And so there's, of course, like an hour and a half documentary in here that was done by Philip Escott, who we had as a guest on our show as well. We had been talking about this forever. And of course, pretty much this feels like a best of a bunch of people we've had on our podcast as guests worked on this. Like I've
Yeah.
already mentioned Kat Ellinger, Alexander Helen Nicholas, Phil Vescott I just mentioned. And just Second Sight's work seemed to kind of all culminate into this gigantic box set. I'm so glad I bought this because I missed out on the Drive set from 2022, and I feel like this is now like my Drive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I got a big one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Caught me a whale, like Captain, like Moby Dick or whatnot. So yeah, those are two of I think stunning releases. The Walter Hill box set from Imprint. I don't want to understate that. We had been talking about that for a year. That was like mentioned in I think what summer of 2022, and it finally came out this year because we had to wait. I don't know what we waited for really. Maybe the 4K rights to the driver or something. I don't know what the holdup was, but it took like a full year for that release to come out. And it's a really, really solid release of Walter Hill's work. I know a lot of collectors and a lot of listeners of ours we waited forever for. Messiah of Evil is kind of a super, super discovery. Yeah, so many great releases from this year. It's kind of hard to pick an overall one. One that we haven't talked about because I don't think either Steven and I have it, but it's worth mentioning. Vinegar Syndrome's Lost Picture Show,
Yeah.
unique release of films, and the packaging of that. Just check out anyone who's done an overview of the packaging. A really solid constructed set as well from Vinegar Syndrome. A very unique release from them, which I think people have only gotten within the last couple of weeks because I think it wasn't announced during the Black Friday sale.
Yes.
So people are just starting to get those as well. But yeah, that's a mega big release from them. Black Emmanuel, like Steven has said,
Yeah.
truly a great release. Did I mention anything else? Oh yeah, Bruce Lee at Golden Harvest. Yeah, and yeah, I'm just checking my notes
yeah,
here.
we over this whole crop of categories we've mentioned I think some of the great releases of
Yeah,
the
and I did
year.
say it would be repetitions in terms of
Yeah.
best
Well,
box set.
that's how it is in any award show. You're typically your best releases have a lot of the best elements that go through all these categories. So,
Right. They all of them make up a great release. It takes
yeah,
one thing we've learned here on Chasing Labels, it takes a lot of different elements to create all of these releases that we talk about.
yeah,
And to create a super stupendous release takes,
takes all them elements.
greatness of all of
Yeah,
those.
good writing,
Um,
good restoration,
really good people that
good people.
we've got
Yeah,
to know over the
yes,
last 130 episodes.
most definitely. But that is going to end our Shelf Shock Rewind, style favorites of 2023. We hope you enjoyed that. I know we kind of were all over the place, but we have made it to the end. And also, of course, if you enjoyed the announcements, the new format, hopefully you enjoy the direction of where Chasing Labels is going. If you have any ideas, if you like what we did, please comments, let us know what you think. And thanks to everybody that was here in the live chat, chatting with us, leaving comments. We appreciate you hanging with us on this first live show of Chasing Labels. This will be a routine every other week. They'll either be Monday or Tuesday nights. Probably Monday nights more often than anything. So check us out for in a couple weeks. On next couple Mondays, we'll be back on here live for another Chasing Labels. But you'll find the audio to be released as well, probably tomorrow, and always a day after the release of this live show. So always look for that if you just want to listen to the audio, and you can find that on Apple Podcast, Spotify, all the normal places. Andrew, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter or X at Capzilla06, as well as our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels, which you're currently viewing if you're watching the live stream, or if you're just watching on the replay.
Yeah. And you can find me on Facebook at Stephen Billings or at the other Chasing Labels pages, whether it's the X page or the Instagram. Or you can go follow me at on Letterboxd at Stephen Billings and see what I'm watching. But that is it for spy number 130 of Chasing Labels. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. And hey, keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.